Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Introduce the crew. We got Anton. We got B Nix. We got Tawana. We got our guest Ashley. And myself, I'm JR. Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Should be a good show. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take all those applause. Thank you. We got Tawana. I guess Ashley. And myself, I'm JR. Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Should be a good show. Mic check. Thank you. Tawana. I guess Ashley. And myself, I'm JR. Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Should be a good show. You guys getting feedback?
Yeah.
Is somebody playing somebody playing anything? Appreciate you guys' patience while we get this together.
Yeah.
Is somebody playing it? Somebody playing anything? Mic check, mic check. You guys hear me okay? All right. Appreciate that, guys. Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Let's get this show started. How you guys feeling? You good? Y'all ready?
Of course.
Y'all so
Always,
quiet over there.
always. Stay ready.
Okay, just trying to make sure. All right, we're going to kick it off with our first topic. Let's talk. Let's get this show happening again. How's feeling? You good? Y'all ready? Guess that's what happened when you go live, right?
Of course.
All these issues.
Always. Stay ready. I love hearing my voice in the background. What's going on here?
Okay. I think we might have it figured out. All right, we're going to kick it off with our first topic, which is the recap responding directly to Kevin Samuels. The recap responding directly to Kevin Samuels. I don't know if you guys tuned in last week, but Kevin Samuels did enter the chat, and he was tuning in to our last broadcast. And his next live that night was particularly about our podcast. And he had a few things to say, which a lot of people tagged us in and we listened in. So we all talked about it. We had some conversations, and I just want to kind of get you guys like responses when it comes to Kevin Samuels. I'm going to start with you, Tawana. I know you heard the actual live in its entirety. Let's talk.
What I think about Kevin Samuels' reaction. So let me say this. I think that he was like personally offended because he felt like one, we criticized his fans, like his followers and people who come to him for advice. And then I think he kind of personally attacked B Nix. So I'll let B Nix address that because I don't really want to talk specifically about his attacks to B Nix, but I do want to speak to some of the things that he said that I stand by 100%, that I would never let Kevin Samuels, or probably many men, validate me and how I feel about myself. As I guess women do let that happen, but 30 seconds into the conversation, I probably would have hung up. I'm never going to let someone talk to me that way or tolerate any level of disrespect. And that's just my opinion. I did not feel like I said anything wrong, except that I felt like I wanted to know more about why these women needed validation from him and why they felt it was necessary for him to define, them. And I'm speaking specifically to the women who call his show. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about Mr. Samuels. But, all respect. I welcome a dialogue with him and any conversation he may have. But again, you won't get the validation from Tawana. No. Not today, not ever. Next.
Anton, I'm coming to you next. When you heard the actual live over again, how did you feel about what Kevin Samuels said?
You sure you want me to go right now?
Yeah,
you sure, bro, this is early. I think that if everybody actually listened to the live and if they actually paid attention to what he was saying, if you implemented it and you utilized it, you would become you would really grow and become a better version, because for me, it's nothing better than hearing people give it to me straight. It's nothing better than hearing people absolutely take out all of the fluff, take away all of the feeling, and just get straight to it and say, yo, what it is, this is how we addressing it. And it was all valid 100%, because first of all, he didn't necessarily solicit anything from us, but we were using him as the trampoline by which we needed to make certain points, right? And so obviously I had a completely different perspective and from everybody else on the panel. But, I talked to him personally and we were kicking it, and he was he straight up. He don't play no games. He not here for people's feelings. I think that he did address Tawana specifically. I don't know if she missed a lot of it, but he did address her.
Oh, did he? Tell me what he said, Anton. I was less. I don't know if I recall. I might have tuned out after.
I don't think you really want to hear that part.
I'm okay.
But we'll get into it after I let everybody else kind of speak.
I guess we can't play the video, but y'all can tell me what it is verbatim. I love to hear it.
I will say that
so I
can. He was absolutely accurate and 100%. I don't disagree with not one thing that he said. And shout out to the Godfather. Shout out to Unc for continuing to tap in, and I'll say.
So Anton, can you tell me what he said though? I'm serious. I really want to know, because I'm curious what Kevin said.
We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it.
Okay, good. Thank you. I would love to talk
about. We're gonna talk about Unc, as Anton refers to him as. B Nix, coming to you, brother. When you heard that live, how did you feel about what Kevin Samuels said?
I'm not a subscriber, so I didn't even know when his shows goes live, to be honest. JR hit me up. Well, you being JR hit me up. So I checked it out. It created a lot of dialogue, and actually I had a lot of conversations with people outside of this group. People I trust, my cousin, a couple of my guys, my lady. And I think one thing I want to reiterate, I was always clear that, I guess I'm tone police, I get that. But I never was against the message on what he was saying. I think I was more so still and I think I was clear about, I was saying that I had an issue with the delivery, but one thing I did realize that this is entertainment. People call him in order to get his perspective. And Anton, actually, you kind of hit it on the head. He speaks from a very matter of fact. I'm coming from a different creed. I think that the business in which I work in, it is about being able to ensure equity and tone on how you communicate with folks. So I respect that, brother, but more so not based on just the content of his show, but the journey. And I think that's something I always talk about, whenever we have these shows. That brother, had his bachelor's in chemical engineering. My brother came from same thing with industrial engineering, and he worked his way up. He built this empire and stuff. So for that part, that removes it from like the entertainment aspect. Um,
Sorry about that. Pretty sure B Nix will be right back in. Ashley, I want to come to you now. You on the outside looking in, and that's the reason why I have you on here as far as with this particular topic. And I wanted to know, just from you watching from the outside, what were your thoughts?
Well, I do want to say, I want to preface everything that I say by saying I actually agree with some of what Kevin Samuel said. I think his main message is that women need to be more realistic in what they are seeking in a man. And I agree with that. I think women have to realize that, looks play a role. For a lot of men, age plays a role. And whether or not you have children plays a role. Like, I completely agree that women generally need to be more realistic in what they're wanting. If you want a certain type of man, you have to make sure that you're compatible to that type of man. I don't really make an issue with his tone. I don't respect when he calls people out of their names. For instance, when he called the young woman a bride, he defended the way he approached her, but literally before he said that, he said, "Oh, you're a sweet girl. Get off my phone, bride." So I don't agree with that. But I do appreciate how blunt he is. I'm a blunt person. I like people who are matter of fact. I try to be respectful to people. I think you can be honest and be respectful. I don't think that Kevin Samuels is wrong for being blunt and honest. I do think that a lot of people listen to what he's saying on the surface level. Women respond and they're usually very emotional because they don't like the way it's coming off. And a lot of women relate to what he's talking about. A lot of women do have kids outside of wedlock. A lot of women are single moms, and it hits home to them. So obviously it's going to ruffle some feathers. I think people need to look a little bit more critically, though. I believe men love it because it's like, oh, look, we can put all these supposed successful women in their place and humble them, but I think he doesn't tell the whole story. I don't agree with everything that he says. For instance, this whole danger zone thing, I don't agree with it because it's not real. You can't really shame women for being single at a certain age when throughout their 20s, most of the men that they would marry are not being prepared for marriage. Like, it's just ridiculous to me.
We're doing wrong.
So no, I'm not. Let me tell you why. Because there are women who are marriage material. There are women who are good women who don't make bad choices, who carry themselves well, respect other people, and I know how I was raised. And when I was in my 20s, a lot of these guys out here they're not marriage material. And the things that people teach, and I'm not saying everybody, Anton, I know you were married very young. I'm not saying everybody, but generally speaking, young boys are not taught to go to college and find a wife. That is not what they're taught. And so I know for a fact, because my mom taught me to be a certain way. I wanted to go to college and potentially meet my husband, but the vast majority of the boys in college are not checking for the wholesome girls you take home to mama. They're not. They're checking for girls who are a little out there. And so and then it's like your mindset, like when you're very young, you're not being taught to be a husband. So it's completely.
You don't understand, man.
It makes so much sense that you would have a 27-year-old woman or 30-year-old woman that is single. Like, who is she supposed to marry if everybody's teaching the guys, oh, go sow your wild oats, go get as many girls as you can, don't commit, and then they're telling the girls something different. I don't agree with that. So there are some things that I think men need to look a little bit more critically about, as opposed to just kind of co-signing everything. I also think that just because you are a high earning man doesn't necessarily mean you're deserving of what I would consider the best women. Maybe a pretty one. But let me finish. I think men equate, y'all don't want to hear it, but men equate best to pretty. And you could, if that's what you think best is, then I think that's great. But if you want a woman that has more substance and she's more than a pretty face, I think you have to come with more than money. Okay. And I think that a lot of Kevin Samuels is making a lot of guys who aspire to be these high earning men think that all they need to do and all they need to accomplish is money, financial gain, a network. And it's just a very superficial method of dating. Now, if you're okay with being used for your money, then that's fine. If you're okay with being used for your money, and I mean, we see this all the time. We see this every single time. Look at Tracy Morgan. Look at Cam Newton. There's so many people who, as soon as they get the money, they go get the prettiest girl they can find. And then what happens? She usually takes their money.
Hey, I do got a question.
How do you know what men
follow up to that?
How do you know what men think?
What do you mean? What men think? I'm going by what men think. I'm going by the eye. Okay. Yes, I'm going by what I see. Actually, not what I think.
Well, your experience.
But what you don't understand is that But we as men, even back when we are younger and in college, even us as men, even when we younger and in college in our earlier 20s, we slot women, right? So just because we rocking with this chick over here and young guys may be sleeping with this specific woman does not mean that he does not have another girl that he's eyeing that makes sense for them. So for you to highlight that this is how guys think just shows me that I know you don't watch Kevin Samuels' whole shows because he specifically champions and highlights men that move a specific way, and he highlights and champions men like regular guys. But what you don't understand is that he speaks to an audience that's here. If you are looking to get here, it's not about just being wholesome. And so I think that what you should do is start asking the questions of, okay, what are men that are here? What do they want? And then how can I meet that expectation? It's not enough to just say, yo, they don't want this. It's more about educating yourself. And what he does is he educates people on, yo, if you move in a specific type of way and this is what your expectations are, this is what you need to be asking and making it adjustment.
But also, I think it goes back to just the role of the man as well. I think, Anton, this goes back to a few shows. And we were talking about just going to college, getting degrees and things like that. Even though I, personally feel I'm doing it just based on my own well-being and development, it still relates to me being able to equate a certain amount of money. So the thing is, I think it does align with this way of thinking that, in order to get a certain type of chick, we do certain things. That's why you see a woman, see somebody that has a certain car that they drive or a certain home that they buy. So I think what Kevin Samuels is really saying, it speaks to a certain demographic of both men and women. If women want a certain type of man, you do look for somebody that has certain criteria to meet. And I'm not saying anything is against that. And I actually, I'll be honest. I watched this brother whole show. I've never watched a whole show of him before. And I didn't watch it by myself. I watched it along with other people, and we had good discussion about the way we look at things. But I think it does relate to the fact that women do view men as far as how much they're not earning, but their potential earnings. We talked about this earlier, the opportunity cost.
How y'all gonna tell us how
money can you earn in order to bring back to this relationship?
But that's the thing; it don't really matter.
We can't define men. Y'all can tell us how we view men.
But it don't
That's the
matter.
same thing women do.
Ridiculous.
Same thing women do to men.
It
This is
don't
ridiculous.
matter what you view men like.
Let me address this
Well,
bitter.
the
Let me address this bitter comment for Mr. Kevin Samuels. I hope you're watching, Mr. Kevin Samuels, but I'm so bitter. Let's just talk about this comment for a minute. Because Jim Brown, thank you, Jim Brown. He told me what Kevin Samuels said. He broke it down. And so I want to address that. Okay. I am very happy in my life, and I'm not bitter. Nor am I single, honey. Nor am I searching or desperate, and nor do I need your validation to tell me what man I can get in my life, honey. My life is great. So therefore, let's keep my name out of it, and let's talk about my comments and the things that I said that I felt like I supported with my reasoning. No, I don't validate him. I feel very the opposite of what Ashley is saying. No, I don't think that he has any valid points that he could give to a woman. And I do think that he has a certain demographic that is great that he talks to, and I'm okay with that. But do not try to pigeonhole me into his ideals and make me think that I can't have a man that I want, that I envision for my life, that I envision for myself based on some shallow physical characteristics that he defined, and he gives us all these terminologies to ascribe to. No, I'll never let nobody do this. Never.
I just think people.
First of all, King Griff, I am getting married, honey.
Well,
no,
I'll be married in a couple of months.
Hey, but Tawana, I know that you talked about your situation, but also remember we had that show about the deception, right? And we had the show about the deception where we talked about how men may lie about their credit score or their earnings, things like that, even though that's not necessarily what Kevin Samuels is saying, but it does create this mindset that men feel that, you know what, if I earn the top dollar, we see this with rappers, right?
It's kind of breaking up a little bit.
Is they do this in order to make themselves more attractive to women.
Obviously, women.
What are y'all talking about?
You all need to.
I don't know.
I didn't say that.
I got to be a little more critical. I agree that money is important. I don't think any sensible woman would say that, oh, money is not important. And I don't think that's a bad thing. If you are marrying somebody, your husband needs to be able to provide, like point blank, period. I'm not saying that the woman should never work. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it is a basic requirement that a lot of Black men tend to think is a bonus. And it's not. It's not a bonus. It is a basic requirement. Now, I'm not
providing,
but I'm not saying providing. But I'm not saying that a man who makes millions of dollars should go and get with any Black woman. I'm not saying, or any woman. He has his pick of the litter. I understand that, but be more realistic. Let me say this. What type of women are you getting if you're using your money to date them?
I think
most,
all the time.
What are y'all? Listen. Don't listen to that last narrative that B Nix just gave about guys baiting women with money. It has nothing to do with bait. What you gotta listen. You gotta listen. If you want to understand exactly what's happening, you gotta pay attention. Listen, it's not about baiting women. All right. It's about the fact that we have options. When you get to a certain level, I don't have to bait anybody because
whatever you want to call it.
Stop.
Whatever you want to call it.
Only one at a time, y'all. One at a time.
I'm gonna teach you something because, and you got to be receptive. If you want to get to this level, apparently you don't want it. I mean, apparently you don't want this type of guy. And if you just want to be
what
basic,
do you mean?
if you want to be basic,
are you giving her a lesson on how to get a high?
If you want to be basic and you want to be regular, then keep over talking me and don't pay attention to what it is that the game that I'm giving you, because it ain't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So
they love to call you names and belittle you and degrade.
You said they. Who is they?
What names did I call?
No, not you. Not you. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking in general about men who have these hierarchy, this elitist attitude. It's a way to kind of keep you, I don't know, insecure. It's like to keep you in that mindset so that you can be easily manipulated. Listen. And I'm not the one.
Here's the thing. all
Tawana,
the
I'm gonna
advice
ask you a
that
question.
if women are listening to how you're thinking, Tawana, they are going to be
then they gonna get them a man just
for
like
the
me,
rest.
and they gonna be happy because my man make me so happy.
So much sass. So much.
My man make me so much happy, and you know what? He love this ass because he sure put a ring on it.
This is what I'm saying. Like you said,
you like it, then
I'd love to meet this guy because he sounds ultra beta.
Well,
and you probably just found a really good beta. That's really what it is.
I bet you he ain't.
We'll find out. We gonna find out.
You know, actually, he belongs to the same frat that Kevin Samuels belongs to. So I
don't know the frat. It's a bunch of beta guys in frats. It's about your mentality.
You disrespect him.
It's a bunch of beta guys in frats.
I can tell you about several people, but I'll use one of my really closest girlfriends as an example. Her husband does very well. He's beta. See, anytime somebody disagrees, y'all do the name call.
all they can do is
listen.
That's it. That's all they can do.
So there is a man.
So why you ain't call into a show when he said free smoke? He was looking for you, Tawana.
I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know now. Come on, fam.
Well, I didn't know that he was talking. I didn't know that he said anything specific about me.
He did a whole show about you, D-Nix, and everything. And then he said free smoke. Call in, and he invited y'all, but y'all don't want to have a real conversation with him. But y'all got wait. But y'all got all this sass to say right here, but in real life, y'all not trying to have it.
Oh well, Kevin Samuels, send that invite again, honey. I missed it. I'm ready. I'm ready for you.
Kevin Samuels does not tell the whole truth. Point blank.
Invite again, honey. I'm ready.
Hold on, you guys. Hold on. Go ahead, Nix. What you about to say?
I don't know. I feel like I missed where the debate was going in. I've been having internet connection. So, JR, only thing I wanted to say, like, hey, Ashley, you talked about it as very matter of fact. I don't subscribe to him. I don't. But you know what? It's an audience. It's people call in for advice, right? The thing is, it's like, hey, to each his own. Tawana, it doesn't speak for you. I don't think that he speaks for all people. But the thing is, that's cool. So, I mean, hey, but the people he do speak to, hey, that's what they want to hear, right? Because
he said tomorrow. He said tomorrow night at 10 a.m. I'll be there, Kevin. I'll be there, Kevin. Be there or be square.
I think you're assuming that every woman.
I'll bring out my smoke too.
Is a high value man. Your definition of a high value man, and certainly not Kevin Samuels' definition of a high value man, is my definition. To me, money is important, but it's one aspect. You can't have money and a lot of other issues. Like, you just can't. And I think that you all see a lot of women who are drawn by money. They're motivated by money. But these are the very same women that you yourselves always say are not the ones you want to marry. But you're basing your idea of yourself based off of those women. There is more to being a husband and being a high value man than having money. I've met guys with lots of money. I don't necessarily.
But you know what? One of the things Ashley talked about was the sexual marketplace, right?
Hold on, man. Hold on. Ashley, this is how I know you're not familiar with his work and you don't watch his show, because what you're saying is not aligned with what he says. He says nothing about the fact that it only takes money. And so But hold on.
That's what he talks about.
Stop. It's not. And that's how I know you don't watch
the
whole show. Because you're saying that my values different, or what it is that I align with is completely different from what he aligns with. But then the things that you identify as things that he don't align with is completely false. And so the problem is that people are making assumptions based off of what they think. And that's why we got two ears and one mouth, because we need to listen more than we are expressing what it is that we feel, because there are facts.
Show me an episode where Kevin Samuels addressed men. No, you know what I'm gonna say. Show me a show where he addressed men making good choices with who they sleep with. Show me a show where he talks about.
The first 3 years
Okay,
of
so
all of his content.
He's even right now. Network visibility.
Wait.
Those are superficial things.
The first 3 years of the first 3 years of all of his content was specifically speaking to men. So what are you talking about?
Well, you know,
I think you gotta be.
Hey, everybody has their own audience, but that's one of the things that I will say. Anton, you mentioned that in part of his story, he talked about a lot of the conversation was focused toward men. Then now it creates the dialogue. You know what I'm saying? So if we look at it from the aspect that now we're having a conversation about what truly do women want. Women are calling in, Ashley, and not to say it's a reflection of you at all, but they are calling.
Everyone.
What'd you say?
They don't represent. I think they represent most women. I do. Most women are
but it
blinded by
but they're calling for themselves. I don't think they care about the rest of the
there
women.
is a population of women that are calling in, that's seeking advice, because you do have women who are looking for that equal. I always talk about, Anton, the fact that about dating in your weight class, right? Mm-hmm. And we've seen where women are high earners just like men, and they want somebody to match their equal. They're equal. If they're not making 100K, they may not be looking for somebody 100K either. I took my perspective based on those clips. You mentioned earlier about with the broad, things like that. For me, I know that it's a way you talk to people, but if you speaking from a very matter of fact, if I step back, not looking at tone, but as far as what's actually being said, what'd you say, Tawana?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't talking to you. I was saying thank you to David. He said he liked my sweater. That's all. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. That's the only thing I had to say just on that. Ashley, you brought up a point. It doesn't speak to you.
Stuff that make her
and I think
good.
There's no point in getting worked up about something that doesn't speak to you. It's not about the
stuff that make me feel good. It's about me not putting energy into something that is against what my life is like in real life. I cannot do that.
The problem with what you're saying is that it's going to put a lot of women in a bad spot thinking like that, because that is not the recipe for success. It's too many women out here that's single, that don't have options, that is getting older. They are in the danger zone, and they moving in a direction that's not going to be conducive to their life. So we have to take responsibility, not just for how we feel, but how we're impacting other people.
I believe in self-care. I believe in a woman putting herself in a better position. I believe in all of those things, and I enforce that. But I will never, ever validate someone telling you, ranking you. Like people are in the chat. They're even calling me and Ashley 4s and 3s. I will never support someone ranking you based on your physical. Do you not? No. Do you not understand what women come with? We have so much more to us than our physical features. We are nurturing. We are loving people. We have so many other characteristics and attributes that you need to consider when you're choosing a woman that I believe are just as important as some of these other things that Kevin Samuels defined. So you telling me that what I'm telling women won't empower them and won't uplift them is a lie, because I definitely uplift women and empower them, but I will not allow them
Tawana, my only thing is my only thing, just to reiterate, I'm not against what he's saying. I know that I was the one. I own it. I was tone police. But the thing is to really scale back and really talk about a matter of fact from a very straightforward perspective. He's talking about real issues that women and men are calling in to talk about. So the thing is that something wrong with that, with people calling in to get advice and they actually hearing this man out?
I don't see anything wrong with that. I love that he's trying to help women be more realistic. I don't agree with some.
I just don't get what is the issue. I was one of those people who didn't subscribe to him.
People are not critical. Men like it because it feeds their egos. Men want it easy. Y'all want to be able to say, oh, if I do X, Y, Z, I can get the best women. It's easy for you to say, oh, let me go and get all this money, get a nice car. I'm going to get all the girls. That's the reality of our culture. And that's a lot of women. A lot of women do that. A lot of women are attracted to money. Kevin Samuels says that all the time. Kevin Samuels says
we're going
hold on, Aunt, please. I'm just trying to tap in. All right.
I got a question for you, B-Nix, because apparently Ashley has the solution.
I'm gonna keep my attitude.
Tawana is empowering women to get married. She has a success rate of doing that, apparently. And B-Nix, so my question to you is, so have you evolved and more aligning yourself with the philosophies behind what Kevin is talking about? Or do you just like understand that it's not just the tone? Like, have you shifted your narrative?
No, I respect it.
You're still not being critical about everything that he's saying. He's not. Y'all keep cutting me off.
I don't have to, because
men are not. What do you mean results?
His results speak for itself. There's plenty of people that's saying, "Yo, I found the love of my life because of them."
No,
there's plenty of people that have success stories that align.
I like Kevin Samuel's show. I like Kevin Samuel. I don't have to agree with everything that he's saying. What I'm saying is that people need to think more critically. They do. Think about all the men that call him, or all the men that follow him. Let me finish, because I keep getting cut off.
Go ahead, Ashley. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Think about all the men who call into, or who kind of co-sign to him. Like, oh, I make $200,000 a year, so I should get a 10. Think about that. First off, if a woman, Kelly Rowland or Beyonce, Naomi, whoever you think a 10 is, had the option of choosing a $250,000 man versus a $1 million man, who is she going to go for, according to your logic? What I'm trying to say is that I think that, you know, this narrative about having to be a 10, you have to be attractive, but having to be above average looking and being deserving of that just because you make $200,000 a year is faulty. If you look around, if you go to the suburbs, like I'm not in Chicago now, but I live in Chicago. I live in the suburbs of Chicago. I have lived in some of the most affluent suburbs. And when you go through the neighborhoods, you see young families, you see a lot of white people, you see white men who are obviously able to afford these homes, who are with average women. Like my dad tells me, he says, show me the biggest house on the block. You're not going to show me, you're not going to find the finest woman. You're going to find a good woman. And I think smart men know that. I think smart men are not just going for looks. Looks are important, but that's why, I mean, look at the evidence. Y'all don't want to hear it.
But you know, one thing.
Look at the men that we see who are so-called high value. Look at Dr. Dre. He's about to give up half of everything. Well, he might not, but he could potentially give up a big portion of what he's worked for, because what did he do? He opted for the pretty girl. That's all I'm saying. So I don't agree. I think y'all need to be a little bit more realistic. You can make $200,000 a year, and so what? You're going to get, you could get, if you don't have anything else to bring to the table, you're only going to get the type of woman that is going to use you, and probably not the best wife.
All right, Nick, go ahead.
One thing that's made me realize, like, having this dialogue outside of this group, not even talking to none of y'all, but talking to my folks, common sense isn't common. And when we use that example that we talked about, like with this, whatever she was, 35, damn near 40 years old, 2 children or whatever. The thing is, there is a certain way you're looking at someone. We're thinking about ourselves as if we still like 21 and we're just aspiring to just find someone that loves us. But when you get to 35, 40, 45, the window is different. You know, it's almost like if you're an athlete, you look at it the prime of your career, right? Some people have an extended prime of their career. Others, you have this window. So I think what we're talking about right now, this really, to me, made me realize that common sense is no longer common when we think about dating. Dating, how we look at folks, the expectations we have changed. So what we're competing against is really the traditional sense on how we used to go about dating versus how we're looking at now. We live in a society that talks about and encourages securing the bag, find somebody that's your equal. Hey, find somebody that can match you, going on trips. You would never be able to live this lifestyle if you don't have the means in order to get it. Now, again, I've always talked against Anton from the aspect of saying that's not the only thing. I've never once said that it can't be about money. Anton, you've talked about it. It is about money. You said that multiple times. Tawana, you too. But it still goes back to how we look at, the reality of the situation. Think about the callers that are calling in. They are straight up coming in with additional bag. We got people who may say, I don't want someone with children. Okay, cool. That means that, you know what? That's not something I'm gonna entertain. I don't certain age group. We all not gonna look the same. I joke. I'm bald. I may not look the same, but same thing for a woman. Nobody's checking necessarily for that. Your window is not as wide anymore. So it is about finding out, really getting that real talk, being very matter of fact about your current situation. Now, I'm not saying with Ashley, Tawana, your situations may match the people to call in, but I did realize that he do give it to men too, with just calls, but still he do be able to give perspective and stuff about folks based on where they at in their life. And sometimes, you know what, that common sense is what folks need.
Yeah, Nick, it sound like you kind of.
No, just let me speak.
Just
let me speak, JR.
And I agree, but y'all are still just focusing on the little comments. I'm talking about a bigger picture. Like, what messages is he sending to people? I think that women need to be more realistic. Obviously, if you are a single mom, for whatever reason, you're a single mom, according to men, you're not going to be as desirable. That's just a fact. Like, I understand that. That's just how it is. And I think people need to listen to the women that call into his show. They're exactly the women that would call into his show. Like, they're troubled women. And he talks about them. He says this is what his show is all about.
Ashley,
made bad choices.
Can I ask you a question, Ash?
Yes.
Are you married?
No, I'm not. I don't necessarily want to be married to a man like Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels has been divorced twice. This is
I just asked the question.
But I could be married. I could have been married 5 times now.
Right.
Like men try to do that to like shame women. Nobody talks about. Are you all married? Are you all married?
Question.
But I'm making a point now. Are you married?
Have at it.
Like, people need to, it's always like, let's shame the single woman. But think back to yourself. Well, Anton, you gonna say you are, but think back to you all about like yourselves. Like, would you marry yourself? Like, I hear guys say all the time, like, "Oh no."
Ashley, I'll give you an example. Nobody
checks.
Ashley, I got an example for you.
Nobody checks y'all.
Ashley, I got an example for you. So it's not my example.
Get married. I don't want to just marry anybody.
I got an example for you. It's not my example, but I remember in our group, our Facebook group, one of the comments, this was a month back, they talked about the guy from McDonald's, right? So the guy from McDonald's was trying to holler at her through the window. She was ordering her food. And then guess what? She ended up parking her car because she got upset. The nerve of the person that was giving her food was the person that was trying to give her the number, right? So the thing is, the shaming that you speak of, then guess what? We call him a bum-ass Negro, right? So then now all of a sudden she goes and parks her car, goes into the store and protests and says, how dare you have the nerve? I need to speak to the manager. And guess what? Buddy walked up, said, I'm the manager. And when would you like to go on a date? And guess what? He ended up securing a date. And as much as that is a crazy, messed up story, it shows and it supports what we're talking about, that it is about not necessarily just the finances, but your resources. Because now Buddy's the owner of the McDonald's versus
the owner.
And it shows how now we switch up, and you can't say that the shaming doesn't happen to men. So it is about being this high earner.
I didn't say that though. I didn't say that. It doesn't happen to men about.
You mentioned about the shaming part, so I just want to give
you don't have to defend yourself, love. You good? Don't worry.
Nobody shames men for being single. Nobody does that.
I wish I could have your back, Ashley, but I can't. You know,
nobody should.
I need to quote. Like, I don't care. I do not care.
I don't care.
Hey,
people shame men.
Bring this to a close, y'all. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to end it.
No, go ahead. I was just saying, just go ahead and finish your last thought, and we're gonna move on to the next topic.
I didn't really get a chance to finish. You know, I think that Kevin Samuels' show brings about other discussions, and men are not. Y'all say y'all critical thinkers, but y'all are not thinking critically when you listen to Kevin Samuels. It sounds good, it feeds your ego, and you jump on the bandwagon. There are some other things that need to be considered, and you know, I. Just like you all have things that you want out of a man, I think smart women do too. And I don't think that, you should be walking around shaming women for being single, because as though all men are just perfect and we're supposed to just be desperately wanting them. I think that's how a lot of women function, and that's why y'all think like that. Mm-hmm. But it's like everybody
only as good as our beauty girl.
Everybody doesn't necessarily want what you have to offer, but y'all don't think, I don't know, y'all don't consider that apparently, or you pretend.
You mentioned one point about the dialogue, and one thing I gotta kind of tip my hat. Who else is really allowing us to now have this conversation about this right now? Because guess what?
Y'all love him.
We done talked about this a few months now. Yeah. But the thing is, it's creating the dialogue where it's really peeling back the layers of these norms, right? And I'm always going to talk about these societal norms.
Well, the dialogue. I'll be on his show tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
I might subscribe.
You should subscribe.
All right, so just to kind of,
I'm gonna get his likes up.
All right, y'all. So just to kind of wrap it up, we already know Anton stands. He 100% believes in what Kevin Samuels said. And B Nix, it sounds like you kind of changed over a little bit.
Let me speak for myself. I hate when you do your narratives, JR. You irritate the fuck out of me. So just let me speak.
What?
Right. Hey, I respect that brother's journey, what he's talking about from the bottom, being able to talk about not just earning, but being able to go from different avenues in order to evolve to where folks at right now. Because you can't say that, for our era, our generation, I know I joked about the whole Steve Harvey and all that. I don't respect Steve Harvey just because he's not in my age bracket. He's not in this group. But being able to, us on this panel, to be able to talk about this, it creates the dialogue. So the thing is, we got to respect being able to have this dialogue to talk about.
We working on B Nix. We working on B Nix.
No,
we got.
How can we have
a dialogue? Please, Anton.
You my guy, bro.
How can we have a dialogue when men are so like bullheaded, and some women are too, and people don't really listen to each other? Like, it's like, no. If you're not trying to stretch your thinking, like, there's no point in having a dialogue. It's just
hey Ashley, I'm not sure if you're listening to Kevin Samuels. I'm not sure if you're listening to him. Nick's listening to him.
I listen to.
Don't speak for me, JR.
I listen to.
I have too.
I have listened to several of his shows. Like, I know what he says. Okay, I know his premise, and like I said, I agree that women need to be more realistic. I also think he needs to talk to men about being more realistic and remember that, like, he places so much value. He does talk to men, but it's always from the standpoint of you're worthy if you have money, network, visibility. He doesn't talk about the things that Black men need to hear in 2020.
That is what Black men need to hear, Ashley. They need to
hear that along with some other things. And he doesn't talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I understand it's not his show, but it's dangerous.
That's how we know. Hey, listen.
It's not his show.
We can move on.
Ask one thing I will say.
It's one-sided.
All right, B Nix.
No, you can wrap up, bro. Right. It's all good. Go ahead.
If you're just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. We appreciate you guys. We moving on to our second topic, which is
Jesus. Let's move on, Lord. Thank you,
ladies. What's wrong with dating the average man? What's wrong with dating the average man? I'm going to ask you guys this. I know we always talk about the high value man, high value men, but what's wrong with the 60K guy? What's wrong with being able to have a guy that you build up with versus just seeking like the high earner right away? B Nix.
You know what? I'll be interested to start off with the ladies just to get their perspective. So I like to hear Ashley, since based on just our last conversation, I like to hear you all out before I respond.
Hey, B Nix is not emotional no more. That's why he focused. I see you, Nix.
Don't speak for me, bro. No. You know I hate that shit. Just hey, Ashley, Tawana.
Every human in this world has emotions. Every human. But anyway.
Tawana, you go first.
Okay, you want to go?
Hey, one of y'all go. One of y'all go. The show got to go on. Let's go. Come on, Tawana.
I will. She looks. You didn't call me. You called me next. You said,
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Dating
Let's
the
go. Let's
average
get it.
man? Absolutely nothing's wrong with dating the average man. And I don't understand. Like, I don't know who created this rule about making sure you address, get the man that's making the most money, and he's got to have this, that, and the third. Like, a man who's hardworking, who brings home the bacon, bring home the money, who can help you take care of your bills, and you ain't gonna have to worry about nothing. Like, that's fine with me. I don't understand why women think that the average man, or what y'all call an average man, is not acceptable, and why they think that they have to have this high earner. Because you can meet you a man that's making $75,000, and if you a boss like me, you can upgrade him real quick.
Tawana, can this average man take you out of town?
You up.
Let's say
you upgraded your guy.
But let's say
I didn't say that.
Tawana,
My man,
let's say this person wants to take you out of town,
Tawana,
right?
go ahead.
I'm not talking about my man. Let's keep that clear. I don't.
You said you upgrade your guy, right?
No, I didn't. I said if you're a boss like me, you could. That's what I said.
Say it again. What you say?
If you're a boss like me, you could. You know how to do it.
Could what?
You can upgrade. You can upgrade someone.
What?
If you're a woman, you can upgrade them.
I'm so confused, but okay.
But I don't talk about my man on the show. I'm not like you, Anton, how you be talking about your wife and you want to mention. I don't do that because, I respect his privacy. Now, I will talk about my life and how it's affected, but I don't need to.
It's kind of crazy because women want you to talk about them on social media all the time.
Well, yeah, I'll talk about me. I'm an open book. What y'all want to know? But I don't need to talk about somebody else's salary, and that's not my thing. I would never
tell them to walk past the camera real quick.
But I will say this. Well, he don't want to be a part of this show because it's not his thing. I mean, why should he want to do that? But all I'm saying is, I know women who date men who make $60K, $70K, who make those salaries, live a beautiful life. They live a comfortable life. I
got a question for you, Tawana. When
they save. They have everything they want. They can travel. They can take care of their children. So it's absolutely, in my opinion, nothing wrong with dating men who make middle class income, which is the majority of our families, the majority of our of the people out here in this world. So if you limit yourself based on someone's salary, you're definitely limiting the pool of men who you can possibly date. And so, if that's what Kevin Samuels is saying, you're absolutely right.
We're not even talking about him on the show.
Right.
But
I will say, Tawana, 2 follow-ups.
I do agree with that.
That's not average. That's not average.
Well, listen, in my opinion, that's a middle class salary. Middle class salaries are the majority of.
Well, let's say working class, right? So we mentioned
working class.
So working class, we look at working class. That's somebody that is going to work, right? But they're still making about $25K a year, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, hey, you got a different type of budget that you're working with. This person, this average guy, may not even have a car.
$60,000 to $75,000 a year. That is not average, bro. Like, this ain't opinion.
Yeah, that's what we're really talking about. Like, that's why we call it work. This guy has $25K a year. He makes no car, and you want to go out to eat for Valentine's Day weekend. Is that really something?
Let me tell you this.
That you willing to deal with?
Let me tell you this. I've made more money than men, and I've also dated men. Than some men that
somebody you dated. Okay.
I'm sorry. Then men
making $25K.
Yeah, I've dated.
Would you date a guy?
I've dated a man who didn't make as much money as I did, right? And they were much smarter than I was, and they saved a little bit more, and they really just had a little. I think that it's all about how you manage your finances and how financial literate you are.
Would you date a guy that makes $25,000?
Hey, if you that's what I'm saying. If you're working every day,
come on, y'all, one at a time.
Would you date and marry a guy that makes $25,000-$30,000 a year? That's
probably not.
Why? Because that's the question. That's the name of. That's the.
So you saying
that's not average, though.
Wait, you saying 25 to 30K is the average salary? Is that what you're saying?
You need to look up the household median income.
I'm looking at middle class.
And you're saying this is not opinion.
Everybody's not middle class. The average guy can still be working class, making his money every day.
Hold on, B-Nix. You're saying that is nothing wrong with it, but you wouldn't do it. So how does that make sense?
Well, you said 25K.
25 to 30,000.
Yeah, you said that.
You a boss, right? And you gonna upgrade them anyway. So why wouldn't you date him?
Well, I may be able to work with that. Whatever.
Like you a boss? What?
I'm just saying that, like me personally, I guess I have a lifestyle and I have certain things that
I gotta go get a new prop. I'll be right back.
Oh, you want to get another Rolex?
No, are we really trying to act like 25K is average now?
I don't think so.
Because above average just a moment ago was 200,000 a year.
That was a high value.
So that's above average, right? High value is above average, right?
Okay, wait, we got Google right here. Let's Google this.
Yeah, most people are in the middle income. To me, that's average.
Right.
How do you define average then, Ashley? What would be the range? Give me a range. You ain't have to give me like a hard number, but give me a range.
Well, I know most people make probably around 50,000 a year. That's considered. I think that's considered middle class. I'm not really sure. But Corey, somebody said average is 40K.
I'll give you an example. Somebody can have all the bachelor's and the master's degrees, and they making maybe 35, 40K coming out of school.
So average.
This says 94,000 per year.
Go ahead, Ashley. I'm sorry.
That's out of the U.S. I guess we need to look by Chicago, right? Because everybody not averaging 94,000 a year.
But I like that hat.
This is what it says: 94. It says the lowest medium income is 24. So average is not 24.
Yeah.
They said
it serves a dual purpose, bro. Everything that's being said right now is all cap.
I'm Googling.
All cap.
What point are you making, Anton? Like what? Okay, so let's
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If you know, you know.
There is nothing wrong with dating an average man. I will stand by that.
There's nothing.
I think so.
My only thing is that you say nothing's wrong, but then when we start getting down to the percentages of how much earnings men are actually bringing in, then it is a conversation about based on what is the level of satisfaction.
Get rid of the term average. The point is, the truth of the matter is that if you're making 42,000 a year, or let's say use Anton's number, 25,000 a year, you can't do anything with that. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, are we just talking about salary, or
$25,000 a year will not push your kids through school? Yeah. You will barely be paying your bills. You will not be able to save. You will not be able to secure retirement. So that's the problem with only making $25,000 for yourself.
You know the interesting thing about that though, Ashley.
But that doesn't mean you have to get a man that makes
my real life. I know a guy that got a net worth that's well over $1 million a day. He's never made more than $45,000 a year. So if that's what you're telling me, that makes no sense.
So you're telling me that a man, that's probably one guy, one exception, and he probably lives very well below his means.
Well, my takeaway from what you all were saying
is you're only making 42,000 a year.
The question was about like what's wrong with dating the average guy, and the thing is, it shows the layers that based on the amount of money and your earnings, it does make a difference about dating the average guy. We may say average, but you got to be on the top end of average. You got to be on the cusp of almost bringing in close to six figures, at least on the side of 50.
Somebody told us that 42 was average. 42 is.
And I stand correct. I mentioned 25, which would be working class. You mentioned middle class. So we talk about middle class. We talk about around 35 to 45K. That's the range.
That's middle class? You said that's middle class?
No, I said that would be the range. And we talking about average, right? Average median earnings. So now it shows that
I thought middle class was 50K and higher.
But wait.
Everybody not making 50K though, Tawana.
I thought y'all was bringing something to the table too. So what do you need him to make all of the money for?
Because now it shows that it is about the earnings.
25 is not.
Wait. I thought y'all was
not rocket science.
I thought y'all was upgrading dudes. You're not upgrading them.
I didn't say that.
And I thought it wasn't about the earnings. I thought it wasn't about how much they made.
He likes to do that.
Earnings are important.
It was just
the only important things. It's like when
you know how Michelle Obama. She works.
When men here want to save money, that's like the only thing y'all
listen, bro. Don't y'all ever put y'all. Listen, I don't want any woman to ever put themselves on the level of Michelle Obama. she classy. She doesn't. First of all, she doesn't overtalk her man, and she plays her role. She plays her position. She understood. And she understood, and she married early. So her situation don't apply to y'all. None of y'all can relate to Michelle Obama. Let's take the caps off.
That's not true.
Let's take the caps off.
Girl, if you respond to that, you foolish.
Hey, I'm sure it was a point in time that Obama wasn't Obama.
That was my reference.
But going back to opportunity cost, he was going to school, and she knew there was a matter of time before he was going to be securing his bag. So he wasn't the typical average guy.
Ashley, listen, baby girl. I think that you a very good person.
The average man.
Can I talk
to Ashley for a minute? Oh, I didn't know you was talking. I mean, I'm sorry.
I think that you're a very nice girl.
I'm talking over a man, so I'm not.
I think that if you
I'm not a valuable woman.
I think that if you start adding what Kevin Samuel says, along with the insight that I can give you and some understanding on how to really get to a certain type of space, I think that you can really take off. But you gotta hold on.
I'm well on my way.
I'm gonna get it.
I'm well on my way.
You have to listen. So you're unwilling.
The people that I respect.
So you're unwilling to listen. Is that what we're?
I'm willing to listen to people who I respect and people who.
So you don't respect me, right?
That's nice.
So you don't respect me, right? And that's cool.
Hey, let's do this.
Hold on.
I don't know you enough to respect you. Like, I don't disrespect you, but I think you have a very narrow view of a lot of things.
I know I'm valuable. Thank you.
You'll never get there like that.
I don't
never get there like that.
I don't necessarily think I don't look at a man like Kevin Samuels, and I don't know a whole lot about you, but I don't look at every man that makes $200,000 a year and think, I need to be with him.
You know about
I just don't.
That's cap. You know about me.
Listen.
So, Tawana, I don't define the average man for.
Tell me what y'all mean by. So,
what do you mean? I know
what I mean by average man is maybe he works a regular 9-to-5 job, right? He doesn't like own his own business. He's not an entrepreneur. He's not, maybe he don't know about investing and doing all that stuff, but he has a work ethic. He is family oriented. He has all these other things going for him. And so he is not high value as far as high earner. But
you wouldn't talk to him. So what difference does it make?
Or even if you talk to him, what you stay with this person. That's the part that really isn't sustainable.
She already said that she wouldn't even talk to this type of guy. So what difference does it make?
Because I just said the guy that was making 25, let's say 30K, he's working every day. Lives in Inglewood, Chicago right now, working every day. And he's bringing in 25 to 30K. Is that someone that you or anyone would actually date as a woman?
I wouldn't know. But a man that's making $70,000, a year, that's not a ton of money. I would.
People out there that's making this. Like, this is not like a random number I'm making up. There are people out there that's making this type of money.
No, I would not. No,
because
that would put me in a position. That would put me in a position where I feel like I have to take care of the house. And I have no problem.
I have before. I'll say this. I have before.
We're talking over each other. We're not getting anywhere.
No, we're not changing the dynamic. You can't be frustrated. Let me ask you a question. So are you willing to be by yourself for the rest of your life?
Wait, I'm sorry, huh?
Huh?
All I heard was life. All I heard was in your life.
Are you willing to be by yourself if are you willing to be by yourself if need be for the rest of your life?
If need be, yeah.
But see, case in point of everything that we talked about on the previous show, and as a man,
I need some more caps, bro.
And as a man, it shows them left. I am the high earner. I'm not going to even get a look. And if I do get a look, I may get her, but I may not be able to keep her. That's the part of the reality where it comes down to about earnings.
I did date someone who made that much money before, and I made a little bit more. Like, I made a lot more at that time, and so I felt like, well, I'm good, right? Like, I could take care of myself, so I really didn't care what the salary was. I cared about like how he treated me and all those types of things. But eventually when it did become serious and like we started living together and joining our lives together, he did get better jobs and his income did, he did get more income over time, but it was just like the financial decisions and things that we started doing, like he couldn't like supplement. So I say that you have to be super careful if your lifestyle is like higher than their salary and you're trying to join lives, right? Because that person contribution is not going to be as high as your contribution. And I think that was part of my problem. I was so young and I wasn't thinking about, okay.
How long did y'all last?
8 years. 8 years. Yeah.
But you still end up pulling the trigger.
10 years, on paper, but 8 years, successfully together. So I'm saying for me, I did do that before. And so, yes, it didn't end well for me, but it wasn't the reason why things didn't go well. It was other, obviously.
Hey, and let's be honest. Hey, none of us, well, I don't know. I won't speak for everybody, but everybody wasn't born with money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the end of the day, and I feel specifically as a man, unless you trying to put yourself in a position to at least strive to be that high earner or at least close, even if let's say you're doing HVAC and you bringing in 80, The thing is, you still on that side of us talking about the 50K. If you're on the other side of 50, then it's like, you know what? Hey, I may be able to get the girl's number, the lady's number. But, hey, how far is that really going to go beyond a day? Because an average guy, again, this may be somebody also, if I'm making on the lower end of that, I'm probably on public transportation. Now we got Uber. Okay, that's cool and all, but it still goes back to not just your earnings, but your resources and access that you have. And you may not have as many resources and access that now compromises what type of chick that woman you're actually going to get.
You know what you're saying, though, B. Nix? You're saying the exact thing that I said last show, and that money matters. Every single person on this show right now is saying that money matters. Ashley is saying it. Tawana is saying it. And B. Nix is saying it. And now they saying that money matters, but then they saying at the same time in the last segment, it's not enough, or high value men, or money don't matter as much as all of this. Like y'all contradict yourself from segment to segment. Not. And I'm gonna stop chopping this up and making it segment to segment. I'm gonna make a whole compilation of y'all contradicting yourself, because it's all cap. Everything y'all say versus what your actions are is completely different. Tawana specifically was saying that, and then the very question that we asked in the beginning of this segment was, "Oh no, I wouldn't date that type of guy." So what you talking about? Like
nobody said money's not important.
The thing that you're preaching to women,
average salary.
The thing that you're preaching to women,
so is that
and the way in which you really live and think is completely different. You live your life based off of what you're saying. It's off. It's all cap. Y'all speaking Japanese.
I never put a dollar value on any man or.
We just said we did put a dollar value on it, where we talked about the average man. So then it shouldn't really matter about earnings at all. Then if we're talking about just the average guy.
Well,
25,000 is different from 70,000. 25,000 is different from 60,000. Like, it's not right.
If you bring in 78K, you are almost on the higher end of that. But everybody's not bringing in 8K.
The contradiction compilation coming
up. This is not. Can I say something? This is not contradiction. What I was saying before was that money is important. It's basic. It's not the only important thing. You all seem to think. A lot of men, maybe not you all, seem to think that money is just it. And that's all y'all come with. And that's it. And you all
say the resources and access that comes along.
But it's not just resources. It's the man that you are, the baggage that you're bringing. And
can I ask you one last question, Ashley?
Yes, when I'm done making my statement. Thank you.
Okay, make a statement.
You all have to understand what is necessary is not always sufficient, and money is necessary. Money is not sufficient. So nobody is contradicting themselves. I'm not contradicting myself. I have been very clear. Money is important. You need money for everything. Men have typically provided. If you want a woman to submit to you, you have to be able to provide. That doesn't mean that you need to make 70K or 100K. That's not what that means. It really depends on the situation. And I don't personally believe just because you make 60K, like 60K to me is average. Like it's completely average to me. In my life and what I am capable of producing. When you count society, when you count expenses, real estate, savings, taxes, when you count all those things, 60K is not a lot of money. So yes, why I'm not sure where's the confusion. Money is important.
Okay, so let me
hold on, Anton. Hey, Anton, Anton, we got a caller. We got a caller.
Right before the call, though, JR. Let me just ask this one question. So, Ashley, we clearly understand what your expectations are and the type of men that you want,
no, you don't.
what they need to make or whatever. You explained it very well in the first 2 segments. Let me ask my question.
No, you don't.
Let me ask my question. What I like. Let me ask my question. So, for this awesome man that you're expecting, what exactly do you bring to the table that's actually going to say, oh, she adds value to my life also?
I add value through my insight, through the fact that I'm a woman of character, of integrity. Like I'm a wise woman with foresight. I have a skill set of my own. I can work, and I actually do quite well for myself. I don't go showboating my money. I'm very smart when it comes to money. I mean, it really depends on the man and what he's looking for. But I know a great woman. So I was taught, and these are things that y'all don't value, but I was taught self-respect, self-discipline, sexual discretion. I was taught, I know how to raise a child. I know how to be a loving, nurturing person. Like I have tons of things to offer. Now, if that's not good enough for you, then it's not good enough for you. Like I'm not.
But you know what's interesting? Everything that you provided, Ashley. You got the caller.
Go ahead, the caller. All right, go ahead, caller. Who's just calling in?
My name is Jonathan.
How you doing, Jonathan? You got a question or a statement?
Doing all right, man.
Hey, brother. Hey, can you speak up a little bit louder?
First of all, shout out to Anton, man. That boy Teddy. So, but basically, here's my thing, right? Here's what bothers me about a lot of this conversation. I feel like a lot of times these ladies they skirt around reality, right? So like as a young black man, for example, you grow up and you already know, like if you carry yourself like a bum, if you just sound like this, like you know, treat you like a bum, right? You know.
Hey, Jonathan, you kind of breaking up a little bit. Slow down. You got to make sure you got a signal.
I can't hear him. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of breaking up. Let's try this again. Go ahead.
What about?
All right, if you can't get your signal together, you're gonna have to try to call back.
I bet.
You there, Jonathan? We're gonna take them off. I got another call in.
Gotta get some good internet strength to call in.
Yeah, definitely.
I just think it's absurd that you can't really think that just because they make 70K or 60K that they are like, it's like, no, you gotta come with more than that. I don't understand what's so hard to get about that. Nobody's skating around reality. Nobody's saying.
I think the question was specifically like, is it okay to date someone that's average? And to me, I think that it is fine to date someone that's average. And I think that salary range is an average salary range, 50 to 70K, or even if we go 40 to 70K. I think that those men can be in great positions, have benefits. There's other things that come along with that. They can have a savings. They can be smart with their money.
You still look at this average guy as the based on previous shows, the provider? Are they able to provide?
You can provide with 40 to 70K, yes.
Well, I mean,
everyone
is making 70K.
Your point be, Nick, he can't be a sole provider, right? So he can provide, but his wife is probably going to have to work. And there's nothing wrong with that. Dual income households are common as well.
Stay home or work like part-time, stay home with the kids.
She can't be a housewife, right? So you have to be realistic in your expectations. Like, you gonna date an average man and then you want to be a housewife? Like, you gotta be smart now. You gotta date an average man, but you're gonna have to work every day. You're gonna have to contribute to the household, and you're gonna have to, bring home an income. Y'all gonna have to combine bills, and that's fine. And that is so totally fine. If you have a man that works every day and is willing to work with you, and he, like, we can be on the same page. I pay these bills, you pay this bill, and that's consistency. What happens? I think it can work. I think in my situation, that's not what happened. And so a lot of the times I got left with a lot of the bills, and I was the one, like, trying to figure everything out. If a person is helping you consistently and doing what they promised you that they were going to do, y'all will be fine. That's what I'm saying. I think that you guys are talking about money as if that's the only thing that really determines whether you survive with someone that's making an average income. There's so many other characteristics. Somebody could be making 70K but have 40K in debt, and so now he really only got 30K at his disposal, and he's got a car and got all these other finances that he got to take care of. So I just think it depends on how smart you are. If you 40K but you on the train, that's smart, because you don't have enough money maybe to have a car. So and CTA it runs. So hey, maybe you can't afford that, and you smart, and you making money, you making decisions based on your current circumstance. And I don't think nothing wrong with a man like that. I think that's a smart man.
All right, we got the caller back.
Hey, JR, let me just say this last stat, bro. Less than 12% of household incomes make, and that's combined incomes, less than 12% make more than $75,000 a year. So I just want to add some context to the conversation so we won't speak on how we feel. And
you said less than 12% make 75 combined?
All right, you guys, I got a call. I got the caller back in.
Most people live paycheck to paycheck. So what are you saying? What are you saying?
All right, we're gonna finish this. We got a caller. Come on, Jonathan. It's the same caller from last time. Jonathan, caller from a different phone. Go ahead, Jonathan. You there?
All right. Y'all can hear me clearly now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I sure can.
All right. So basically, here's what I was saying, right? So I was saying, here's my issue with the ladies, right? Is that I think a lot of times what they do is they skirt around the reality, right? Because, even as a young black man, right? Like, you growing up, you already know, homeboy down the street, who's the hustler or whatnot. He's the one who gets all the bad shorties. We already know that. And so you already know you're a bum if you don't, if you really want to get them, you got to be like that dude, right? You know that. And that's why we work hard as men. That's why we already, here's the thing, men already understand hierarchy. Right? That's the problem that these women have. They don't understand that. Men already understand hierarchy. We already understand where we stand, where we fit in the equation. And we don't, it's not like I'm going to be envious of the dude that's getting the baddest shorty. I'm trying to be like him, right? But I think women, they have a problem with it when they realize, oh shit, we ranking them too. Like, we rank just like men rank each other, and we understand where we stand. We rank women as well, right? And they try to pretend like that's not the case. It's complete reality. And I mean, I could take a real example for you. Like, I live in Atlanta, right? And one of the social experiment I do all the time is, like, I'll go to the club, right? And if I go to the club, there are times I'll just go and I'm cooling or whatnot. But if I go to the club and I go and I buy a section, I pay $600 to $1,000 for a section. I start buying bottles and whatnot. By the end of the night, most of the time I can smash some of the baddest shorties in there. That's just reality, and anybody can try that, right? Because women are attracted to that. That when they see you and they see you in that corner and you're in that VIP spot, they want to know who you are and all that. Like, that's reality. Men understand that. You know what I'm saying? And then when you say that, they try to say, well, okay, but then what type of woman are you attracting? Here's the other reality. The other reality is, if I'm a guy, I'm an engineer, right? I make 6 figures. I'm not saying this to brag, but it's reality. I make 6 figures. I already know anybody who knows my financial status, who knows where I stand, they're going to push me with an agenda, period, whether it's a man or a woman, right? So this idea that there's this magical woman out there who's just going to be, so different from the quote-unquote gold digger, that's a fantasy, right? So for me, the way I operate is I know, okay, most women are going to want me for my resources anyway, so let me try to make sure I get my end of the bargain out of the situation, right? And I don't mind the hypergamy. I don't mind that she's looking for somebody with resources. But the thing is, we as men, we understand this. I think women just have trouble accepting that, especially when they find out that they don't qualify. Like, they have, they struggle with accepting that is reality. That's just how we rock. At the end of the day, that's just the reality of it. So that's just all I wanted to say. I just want to say Anton is correct. And I think And by the way, like what I'm saying, you know, I connected with Anton yesterday on LinkedIn, so he probably knows exactly who I am, right? So he can verify my background. So it's like that. That's the reality. And the thing is, like when you talk about, oh, you see, you know, rich men with average women, right? Typically, right? Even I see this in tech a lot. The VPs or whatnot. Typically, they met those women when they were before they had all that money, before they started making the real bread, right? Most of the time when they're ready to get to that position, they're not looking for the average woman. They're just not. I'm telling you, I see this all the time.
You're right.
I just think
the men who have the average woman at that point,
that's not
they've
true.
had her since college.
That's not
they've
true.
been had her since because men understand that hierarchy. So they're gonna keep her if they met her, especially if she was with them from the jump. But it's not gonna be the same once he has the bread, especially if he knows, okay, I can get this girl right here. Why would he go with the most average? Why would a man work so hard, right? Because we know how we're judged. We know that that's how society judges us, men and women. Why would I work so hard only to go and settle for the average woman when I can get the baddest shorty? Why would I do that? It's not even something that's logical. So anyway, that's what I want to say.
You are 1,000% right.
All right, Jonathan, we appreciate you calling in.
Now, I say one thing that
hey, we haven't heard from Nick in a while. Go ahead, Nick. What you have to say?
One thing I say, what Buddy said that called in is one of those like, hey, when I got out of school, I was making 18.5, right? And the thing is, it's like, yeah, I was working, but I was in school. And like that brother called in with his engineering degree. The thing is, yeah, we knew that was not going to be sustainable. So the thing is, it is about the grind. And Anton, you call it winners and losers. I call it, the have and have nots. Either you have access to it or you don't. And as much as we don't like hearing that, it's a reality. Either we have access to it or we don't. So each day, every time a man gets up, it's one of those that you got to grind in order to find your way to go either up that corporate ladder or through an entrepreneurship route. Because I know for a fact, and I think that brother attests to it, just making 18.5 is not it. I'm living check to check, like you mentioned, Ashley, but that is not the move. So you have to do whatever you need to do in order to grind to get access, in order to make it to this network. Because you would not be able to, if you got a chick, you won't be able to keep it. But the thing is, we're talking about sustainability. And it's not what we want to hear. We hate these societal norms, but it's the reality that unless I'm able to put myself in a position to get an Ashley, to get a Tawana, to even at least to make it to 50K, then I can't even enter the conversation. So the average guy, we all want to ensure that it's this narrative in order for us to have like this equally yoked society. But this is the opposite side of it. This is the reality of it. And this is the part that it's a hard conversation, but it's a real conversation. So I think it's more so really you have to be able to have the resources, the earnings, and the resources in order to get what you want. Not just the woman, but everything that comes along with that lifestyle. Or you're going to be out in the cold. And nobody wants to talk about it, but it's the truth. And it's not just a black folks issue.
We don't want to talk about it.
In the world, regardless of what.
I don't think we not want to talk about it. I think that you're really not listening to our perspective on it. And it's fine. I mean, nobody understand how men rank themselves and what they do. But if your entire life is contradictory to everything that someone is saying, how do you then agree with what you say? Like, I'm not a housewife. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a housewife. I never have been. But also, I'm not poor. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't, so I have an expectation because I have a lifestyle that I have to live. But to say that there's something wrong with dating an average man, I won't say that because I don't believe that. And there's nothing that you guys said that convinced me that dating an average man is wrong. I understand this engineer guy and his experience. And he thinks that women liked the flashy, like the flashy. So me, I was always afraid of those type of guys because I always felt that I wasn't safe with those kind of guys. Because in Chicago, the men who are the flashiest, the men who got all that stuff, they can get robbed. And my dad always told me not to date those men. And so my mind was totally different. So I guess your mindset, my dad was in my life. He was active in my life. So he used to be like, Tawana, these are type of men, don't do that, don't do this. Like, I feel like it's, your experiences as well as all of this other. So I understand his reasoning, but he's in a club, he's attracting women, right? Because he got the bottles and stuff like that. But he ain't looking at the women that's not paying attention to him. He only interested in the women that's gravitating toward him. And I've seen that happen thousands of times. I'll be in the club and it'll be a man, it'll be tons of women. They're not paying attention to the women who are still out there talking to the average guy, who's still out there having a good time and not worried about the VIP. They're concerned with the VIP. And sometimes they handpick the women that they want. And so they don't always, like, so it's just so many other things that go along with what he said. I totally get y'all point. And I understand why y'all feel that because society ranks y'all and why you have this pressure on you to make a certain amount of money. And I understand because like I said, I'm around a man and he feel the exact same way. So I'm not tripping. Like I get why men feel that way. What he
said specifically was that he was doing a social experiment.
I know he said that. I understand. I'm just addressing the opposite side.
What he said makes sense in a very simplistic mind. To men, that makes sense. You all have seen girls from the time you were probably in junior high flock to the boys, right? Or the men who had money. They had cars, they had the jewelry. So you all think that that's what women want. And I'm not saying that women don't want that. Most women, which is why y'all think the way y'all think, to that. And they will put up with almost anything and they don't think about other stuff because this man has the money. What I like the guy said, the guys who had that money, what did he say? He said they had the baddest women. He didn't say the smartest women. He didn't say the most respectable women. He didn't say the women that would be good wives. He didn't say the women that were down to earth. He said the baddest women. So you are going by what gets you hoes. What women? You can get more women. That doesn't necessarily mean you're getting the quality women. I'm going to give you an example because I have no problem with men ranking. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Okay. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And that's okay with me. I don't have to be the prettiest or whatever. But while you're going for the baddest girl, you're passing up women who would be great wives, who would bring something to the table in time. Because y'all still thinking with your 14, 15, 16-year-old minds, oh, let me go rack up this, rack up that, and I'm going to get the baddest women. And what happens? We see, I'm not hating on you. Explore your options. Do you? But that's why we have so many Black men
here's the difference.
Are cutting alimony checks because what do? They go with a pretty girl. They're not thinking about anything else. And so you're judging yourself based off of these women that aren't necessarily the type of women that you even respect. These are the type of women you respect. What did he say? It gets me bad women. That's it. That's what y'all concerned with. So if that's what you're concerned with, then don't complain when she takes you to child support court. Don't complain when a woman does what.
Hold on, I want to bring this call in real quick. Hold on. Go ahead, Jason. Jason, you there?
Yes, sir. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Go ahead.
Yeah. How you doing, everybody? I enjoyed the discussion so far today. Big shout out to Mr. Anton Daniels. I, like the previous caller, already linked with him on LinkedIn. And just like to add to the conversation, I feel like the education that we're talking about right now isn't prevalent in the African American community. We're talking about the incomes of 40, 50K, at that being average. Majority of us African American men are somewhat at that or below that. And the truth of the matter is, we're making the decisions based on. I'm 24, so I'm talking about like my generation and younger. We're seeing what the girls are attracted to. They're attracted to the fancy clothes, the cars, and all that.
And what type of girls?
Lifestyles of rappers and drug dealers. So we tend to do those things instead of go the way that Mr. Daniels has gone via like education, build yourself up, work in different roles and build different businesses. So we're doing that at the benefit to attract those women. And we attract those women at that age. That's what the previous caller talked about. That's how you get the women. But then on the flip side, when you actually get to that certain mid-20 level, those women say, oh, no, I don't really want that anymore. I want the educated man who has the 6 figures and the salary and all that. So those guys get left behind while the guys that went and chose the right route are very few in demand. So when they're very few in demand, the one that chose the right route and had to struggle and hustle, they have the more prevalent options, and the high value man tag gets thrown on them. How I kind of want to just be understood as like, I feel like we need to put more education towards this whole aspect of going to school. And if you're not going to school, getting a good trade and being of value to society. Drug dealers aren't of value to society, but drug dealers are the ones that get the girls. Rappers bring demeaning actions to the culture, and they're not building the culture up, but they're the ones that get the girls. That's what the young men are seeing every single day out here in these streets. So that's what they're getting ready. That's what they do. And that just leads to death and jail, and that's what the problems we have. So we have more examples and role models like Anton Daniels and Kevin Samuels showing us that this is a better way, a safer way, a smarter way to elevate ourselves, then that's great. And what comes with that is what comes with that. And I feel like the women in the middle kind of just, they don't understand that background to it. They just understand, oh, that he got money or who doesn't got money or this and that. And that's what we were kind of speaking about in a sense. It's just the overall education.
Salute to you, fam.
I'm just looking at statistics in 2020. All
right, Tawana, go ahead. All right, go ahead and close this out on this. We got to move to the next topic.
I'm looking at statistics, and just the average salary for African American families is $41K. The median is 70. So I mean, I'm just saying this is as of 2020. So we have to like actually look at averages, currently, and let's speak to that. But I agree with a lot of what he said as far as Black men who need to focus on education and trades and like other opportunities, and like we should be encouraging that, and that women should be attracted to that. And I'm not saying that all women are only attracted to the flashy things. I know that there are women out there who value like superficial things, and that is just how they were raised and what they think is important. But there's so many women who don't. And I'm telling you this because I'm definitely been taught the opposite of that. All my entire life, I have been taught to like be humble and like humbleness. So I just disagree that you can put all women in that category. I think that you are surrounding yourself with a certain type of woman and that you need to expand. But I do believe in working on yourself and making yourself better and becoming the best version of yourself. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just joining us, welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. Moving on to our third topic, which is, does a man's status determine his respect from a woman?
Both those guys just proved my point.
Does a man's status
determine his respect from a woman? Well, tell me what you mean by that.
So what I mean by this is that I feel like a lot of men out here are tolerating a lot of disrespect from these women, and I'm quite frankly fed up with it. So I wanted to dive into it to figure out if it's his status, if it's he's a beta, is his mindset. What is allowing these women to disrespect these men? Is it the status? I just want to get to the bottom of it. Start with you, Nix. Does a man's status determine his respect from a woman, in your perspective?
Absolutely.
I am so proud of you.
Hey,
you're my guy, bro.
Let me talk.
Bro. I love you, bro. You my guy.
Can I talk?
Go ahead.
All right. So
I'm sending you a gift. B-Nix, right now.
I don't care.
All right. So what I was going to say is just absolutely. I think it does relate to the level of status of how you're able to command your household, how you're able to command your circle, and also not just what you do professionally, but what you do personally. So as far as you being able to be successful professionally, it is about your earnings. It is about your stature. It's about your position. It's about how you carry yourself. But then also that translates to what you do in your personal life. Both goes hand in hand. People try to live in these two worlds, but what you represent, that grind, that drive, that hustle, that legit hustle, because I admit my hustle is legit, but it still has to be that same approach that you take in your home. And the thing is, that's the part of the puzzle that you have to have in order to complete. If you aren't able to grind and aren't able to secure the stature, and I'm not just talking about the the finances. It is about the resources, the access, the opportunity. Women talk about this all the time with the level of security, the provider. all of that relates to how you're able to make both yourself and the people in your circle feel that, you know what? I know at the end of the day, this person has my back. So absolutely, it does relate to your level of status. And you can't secure that status if you don't have access to both your finances, to your resources, and your access to your network. If you don't have that, then you're going to be left out in the cold.
Tawana, does a man's status determine his respect from a woman?
I don't know what y'all mean by this question. I was trying to listen to Big Nick to be like, what exactly do you mean? I mean,
you don't understand?
My father, I respect him, right? Because he's my dad. So yeah, of course, that status means something. I have a boss, a superior. He's my director.
No shade to your pops and your family, but it is about how you're able to command the room. We've seen it even in entertainment, where the man who doesn't have the man who doesn't have the bet, like we seen it. I think one of the movies. Okay, hey, you got this woman that's an attorney, and then you got this aspiring chef. And the thing is, that's cool and all, and I get these passion projects, but at the end of the day, it's not sustainable. So it's very much so about how you're able to secure this level of status. And really, that goes back to the security.
Yeah, for me, let me say this. For me, no. I respect, like, if you are an asshole and you're rich and you're a lawyer, you probably gonna get cursed out just like you would if you was a poor man talking shit to me. Like, I do not care about that. I'm just saying, like, you gonna get respect if you give me respect. So I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out what y'all mean by this. Like, so I'm gonna let a man talk to me crazy, or I'm gonna, let him treat me a certain way because he got a certain status. Is that what y'all saying? Because that is absolutely 100% incorrect. But if you saying that, am I going to respect someone's title and who they are, in what they bring to the table? Absolutely. I think that you should give people their accolades, especially if they work hard. Like, I'm going to have a level of respect for a man based on, his experience and what he's been through and notoriety, right? But also, am I going to have less respect for a man that don't have a status? I just don't. I don't think like that. You give people respect regardless. I mean, I don't know. I'm struggling with this question a little bit. And I heard you, JR, say that you've been seeing a lot of women disrespect their men.
I'm tired of it.
And you just getting tired. You just getting.
I'm not tired of the women. I'm tired of the men for allowing it.
That's allowing their women to disrespect.
I'm trying to figure out what the problem is.
So their women are disrespecting it. Is that what you're saying? Like, they're women who they're in an intimate relationship. Yeah. So is this as relation to relationships? Because I do think women lose respect for certain men in relationships.
Why?
And it could be
status.
Status can affect it. Sometimes that happens because I know that, some women get really upset when circumstance change, right? If they used to certain lifestyle, circumstance change. So they respect change for their man. I disagree with that, but I do believe that happens. And I do think that certain things can, cause people to lose respect for each other. I don't agree with those things, but I definitely think that happens. I'm realistic in that way, where I know that, that breakdown can happen in the house. But for you to say that a man has to be at a certain status for a woman to respect him, I disagree completely. And I got a
question for you, Tawana.
Yeah.
Have you ever disrespected any of your men that you've dated?
Yeah.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why do you feel like you had to disrespect them?
I didn't feel like I had to disrespect.
Well, what allowed you to?
I do it because.
What gave you that energy?
So,
because when you first meet somebody, and when you first meet somebody, you don't really like know them. But as you begin to date them, and as time happens, people develop certain energies.
Right.
Unfortunately, you develop the energy to be able to disrespect whichever man or mans you're talking about. And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of why did it happen?
Mostly it's in a disagreement that gets heated. And you know, we both can have different opinions for a variety of reasons, right?
What?
Like, I can have this opinion, you can have this opinion, and I think at some point that conversation just shifts and it can just change into something totally different. But for me, I have triggers, right? So those triggers are getting pushed, and I probably have a little bit of no filter, just a little bit, you know. But as I'm 37 now, so that's, you know, it's a little different now. You know, the show is one thing, but real life is one. So I just don't.
I don't feel like you answered the question.
I did. I said it was in an argument, a heated argument. You want me to give you the specific argument?
Yeah, I want you to dive a little bit deeper into it.
Jesus, I gotta think about a whole situation.
If you're not ready, let me know. Ashley.
I'll think about it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and think about it. Ashley, I'm gonna get your opinion on this. Does a man's status determine the respect from a woman? Does a man's status determine his respect from a woman?
In a relationship, I think so, but there's more to it than just money. Like, I think about, for instance, my mom, you know, who's really my grandmother. She raised me, and my granddad, he made good money, but they didn't always have good money, but she still respected him. And there are a lot of women who, as long as the man is trying and he's not being lazy, he's not being a bum, he's not making excuses, they will respect you even if you don't have a lot of money. We see this every day. But I do think that men lose respect from the women that they're with when they are lazy or too complacent. Like, if you're not working toward your goals, if you making excuses, if you keep asking her for money because you're not trying to really come to your own, I think that's when women start to lose respect for their men.
All right. Anton, I don't think I heard from you. Does a man's status determine his respect from a woman? No cap.
Absolutely. 1000%. Of course it does. And I'm going to tell you why specifically. But here's the difference. Like, I'm going to use my real life because my life is an open book, as everybody already know. And I don't mind being like used under the microscope, criticize any of that, right? When I walk into a room, all of that joking and laughing, they wait to move according to what I say or whatever my energy is. And it's based off of the fact that I am at a certain level. That's just real talk. And whether or not you want to align it with how visible I am or how much money I got or the power that I have to change lives or whatever it is, people treat me different, specifically women, because guys, we just rock. When you know, you know. And that's why so many dudes that's called into the show is already connected with me on LinkedIn, right? Because we understand each other. But when you move a certain type of way, women, they cater to you, they love you, they treat you. Listen, the stuff that these simps is doing in order to get these girls, because all the girls doing is using the simps, and then they'll rock with a dude like me. Real talk. Like, they use the simps to make themselves feel good, and then they subject themselves to people like me because I move a certain type of way, because I carry myself a certain type of way, because of status. So we're not talking about whether or not it's right or wrong, but we talking about how women move. And it's like, my chick will never disrespect me. I don't have to say, don't disrespect me. I don't have to lay rules down. I don't have to say, yo, this is how we gonna move in a relationship. She just by default understand that when I say certain things or when I move a specific type of way, or even if we get into it and I'm dead wrong, she will never disrespect me. She's always going to maintain a level of respect because, and I hate to say it because I know it's a triggering word, I'm an ultra alpha male. That's what it comes down to, bro. It's the betas. If you see a guy that's getting disrespected, it's because he's a beta. Real talk.
Tawana, kind of like you want to respond to that.
Oh, no, I just think y'all like hilarious. I was just laughing.
Who was y'all?
So you think that it's a woman that a disrespect?
The men, and like some of the things that y'all say. It's so funny. I be like, do you really believe it, or are we like just trying to have a shot? I mean, I don't know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and roll.
Well, we all know money is not enough. Think about all the rich men who we don't respect. Think about President Trump.
It's not just money. It's a lot of things that go into status.
I see you over there itching nicks. I see you want to say something. What you got to say?
I would never, you're right. Like if you have a man in your life that's doing what he's supposed to do and making sure you good and taking care of you, you will never disrespect him. Like you won't. I mean, I agree with that to a certain extent. Like I feel like that doesn't mean you all won't have disagreements. That doesn't mean that you won't, have arguments or whatever disputes. But you won't disrespect him, and you will make sure you always honor him.
But also the status, like you mentioned, the status also gives you a level of comfort of knowing that from a financial security, physical security, from a mental security, all that goes into it. If you don't have the status, and I'm worried about, man, how we going to get the bills paid? Or you know what? Hey, I don't know the last time I took you out on a trip. All that plays into now crumbling the level of status that you got. And you can't provide that to your lady if you don't have everything secure. So it's very much so about both personal and professional status in order to secure and sustain the relationship. That's the thing. We're talking about sustainability. If you want to keep your lady, then it is very much so about ensuring that you maintain that level of status.
I'll add something more to that though, B-Nix. It's not just status as it relates to my lady, right? Because when we talking about her, it's already understood. Like she'll never disrespect me. None of that. Like that's not even something that we need to discuss. It's as it relates to every woman that I come in contact with. Like when I move and when I walk into certain rooms, even if you see them talking on the internet and in the comments and all of that type of stuff, it all shut down when I walk in. So it's not just with her, it's every woman. And the thing about women that guys don't understand is that, like, even with me being married, it just makes me even more of a commodity. Like women want me more as a result of being married, not because I'm single. So of course they're gonna move differently around me. Of course they're gonna make sure that they ensure that they respect me and everything like that. It's just a certain type of way you move. You ain't gotta be all this great looking. You gotta have confidence. You gotta be red pilled. You gotta be an alpha male. You gotta stop defining yourself according to what you think women want and start focusing on how you need to move differently. Start chasing the checks. Start becoming a better version of you. Start evolving, start working out, start becoming more spiritual, start doing all the things that's going to make you awesome. And people, especially women, will naturally respect and follow you. Stop subjecting yourself to what you think women think and start subjecting yourself to the best version of you. And most of the time that comes with surrounding yourself with other high value men that can add value to your life.
People need to be realistic about who they are. And that's the thing, what they represent. This goes back to the character building and also the level of confidence. If you don't have that bestowed upon yourself from within, people can see right through that. And including your lady and your circle, they see right through it. Ashley, you talked about it earlier, like, hey, it's folks, I can't respect certain people. This goes into that category of somebody I can't respect. We as a society, just because you have this title and we defer respect, that doesn't mean you got the real respect just because you got a title or just because, oh, well, I'm in a relationship. That does not sustain. It doesn't last forever. And guess what? You're going to end up getting played.
Sometimes.
Now, if you're just tuning in to Lapeef, let's talk. Moving on to our last and final topic, which is the gender war real outside of social media? Is the gender war real outside of social media? It seems like it's a constant battle between black men and black women on social media, but in reality, they are dating and marrying each other. So I wanted to ask you guys, wanted to try to talk about the gender war outside of social media. I'm gonna start with you, Ashley. What are your thoughts?
Well, really, that's just the question that I wonder for myself. I know on social media, it seems like black men and black women are always at it. According to black men, we're just horrible, right? Like we're all ghetto, baby mamas. We all, we all like thugs, right? Like the other guy said earlier, we all like thugs. We're all just so horrible, right? And then I see a lot of women, you know, talking about how Black men always cheat and they're always this, and we don't like each other. You know, I mean, every day when I go on social media, I will see at least 10 comments from Black men about Black women and how we're so horrible. And I see a lot of Black women who seem to be like jaded by Black men. So it's like, how much of that is real? Because when I go out my door, I have very positive interactions with men. And there are Black men who try to talk to me and date me and, you know, have relationships with me. So I'm like, well, what's real? I almost got to the point where I stopped trusting the guys who were talking to me, because I'm like, well, do you really like me? Are you sure you like me? Or, you know, like, what is it? Do Black men just feel like, is it just venting on social media? Do y'all amp it up a little bit more? Are you just kind of taking your bad experiences and putting them out there because you need to get it out? Or is that how you really feel? And are you like, are you being fake? Like, do you really want a non-Black woman, but you feel like you can't get a non-Black woman, so that's why you talk to Black women? Like, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think there are a lot of successful Black couples, but when you look at social media, it just seems like, you know, everybody's at war.
Well, Ashley, these are real stories, though. I want to say one thing: social media has created the platform for folks to be real about the issues that's been going on behind closed doors, the stories that you think that only happen to you. And guess what? You ain't the only one. So folks are really getting exposed about how foul some women have treated brothers. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, this game that these traps, I think we had talked about, right? These traps that have been planted now is like, you could talk about it openly and say, guess what? I'm exposing y'all for what's been going on. And that's the part that you could call it gender wars or whatever you want, but folks on there telling facts about what's going on in the real world. Not in no book, not in no novel, not in no romantic, fictional, you know, read. This is real life. So now I don't need that fictional novel. I got folks that's really talking about exposing people for the foul things that they're doing. We talked about it last week with the silhouette challenge, all that is getting exposed, and people are giving the information out for free. If anything, you might as well just get your popcorn ready, but it's very real.
B Nix is on fire today, bro. Like, listen, you can remove me from the conversation and just champion B Nix. Listen, B, I'm gonna be real, honestly. I'm not. No. Listen, for real. I'm not even joking right now, honestly, because, you know, I got smoke when I got smoke, and I call you out, and you call me out when you feel like it's a certain vibe or I'm saying something that you don't agree with. So I have to be the same on the other side, bro. I have to champion you when you saying stuff that I align with.
We're co-signing.
I think that you dope, bro. I think that you absolutely are on the right track, and I champion everything you're saying, bro. I just gotta get ready.
I'm all for men telling their stories. I'm all for men telling their stories, but what y'all don't do is tell your what you did to contribute to the life that you've and the experiences that you've had. That's all I'm saying. Because like if you keep coming across the same type of women, then at what point do you look at yourself and say, oh, well, I've been attracted to this type of girl, or maybe I'm this type of man. You want to say cap, I know, because y'all don't like no type of accountability.
But here's the thing, though, Ashley. I get it. I haven't seen you take accountability one time on this show. So how can you say we need
accountability for what?
Oh, you've done nothing wrong. So everything you've done is
perfect.
What
do you mean? I haven't done anything wrong for you all.
But that's the thing with the gender wars. Everybody want to play the victim. There's always this victimization about how somebody has wronged the woman.
It's everybody else's fault.
But the gender war is not just about me.
They're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Perfect.
They only like these type of women. They not meeting the expectation. They not making enough money. They doing all of these things. I haven't heard you say one thing that you need to work on in order to improve or how you've messed up. I'm sure all 5 of those guys that you could have married, it was all their fault, right? Is that what we saying?
No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. There were things that I didn't like about them. And I have
what you didn't like about them. What
but
about
I didn't say
things that
anything
you
was
didn't
wrong
do
with
to
them.
meet expectations?
I didn't say anything was wrong with them. You don't even know any of the story. Like, it's not, you don't know any of the story. If I wanted to marry them today, they would want to marry me. I have standards just like you all do. I didn't say I was perfect.
Well, you know
I
what
know
though?
I'm not perfect. And I know women are not perfect. I'm not saying that. I'm
Actually,
not
social media is exposing
But
women
if
that actually don't have
I don't get on social media talking about, oh, men cheat and
Oh,
men
it don't
do.
just expose.
I don't do that. You want to know why? I don't do that because I don't entertain.
women are exposing themselves.
I'm happy with the choices that I've made, and I haven't made those choices. I'm not on social media talking about men ain't this and men ain't that. But I will be honest with you.
You saying it right on this show. You've been on this show multiple times, and I haven't heard you take accountability one time and say, "Yo, I need to do things differently in order to get the results that I want."
But this isn't personal.
No.
This isn't personal.
I've been letting a lot rock. I've been letting a lot rock because I speak from a personal perspective. You can't give advice if you're not living it. And so my point is that
I am living it.
You speak from the perspective of a person that's been successful in relationships, as though you married, as though you have the key, and you don't. And so you have to listen when you're not in the space of.
But who said I wanted to marry a man like?
As much
who
as
said I wanted to marry a man like you? You all just assume that every
about
man.
me. You're not successful in relationships. Period.
How do you know that?
Because you said it. I asked you the question and
say
you
that.
admitted it.
I said I'm not married. I said I'm not married. I said I'm not married. You equate that to me not being successful. I'm happy with the choices. I'm happy with the choices that I've made. I'm very happy with the choices that I've made. I haven't put myself
You also said that you're willing to die alone if necessary. So how does that equate to success in a relationship?
Yes. That's not being in a relationship.
What
are you talking about? That's not being in a relationship. I haven't had a series of relationships. JR know my story. Now, I would say that if I was a woman that had multiple relationships, I've only really had one real relationship. And that ended because I wasn't willing to be sexually intimate with him. And I didn't badmouth him. I didn't say all men this or all men that. You all are arrogant and you think that if a woman is not married, that something is wrong with her. I never said that all men are just horrible. I never said that. What I did say is that you, just like the women that you talk about, need to take accountability. If all the women in your life are a certain way, they're all mean, masculine, jaded, hoes, whatever you all say, then why is it that you keep coming across them?
So why can't I use that same narrative when referring to you? If you can't find a man that actually fits your needs and meets a specific standard, or you don't measure up, why can't I say it's you? It's everybody that you date. It's the people that you attract.
You said that I can't find a man that meets my standards.
Because you're not married. If you did, you would be married.
Yes, but there are things that I like too. And some guys, and this goes back to what I was saying, this is why you cannot sit here and try to shame women. Because my story is that a lot of guys, y'all overlook women who are not the baddies. You do. You overlook them. If you're not giving it up, you overlook them. I see this all the time. And so that's just the reality. So, and then y'all turn around and say all women are this or all women are that. So it's like, that's the reality. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. There have been guys that I liked that didn't like me, but
listen, when you get done and you rewatch the show, I'm offering free consultations to you.
I don't want Anton. I don't necessarily want a man like you.
I can groom you to be the perfect person, but you're gonna have to humble yourself. I want you to rewatch this. I want you to watch you. And then when you watch you, I want you to come back and give me a conclusion as to how you came off, because you don't even see yourself right now. You so off.
Look, I am not an arrogant person, sweetie. You don't know my story. You don't know my story. Mm-hmm. You don't know anything about me.
I'm going by what you said right now. I'm not going by your story. I'm not making
assumptions.
I'm going don't do that victim thing, because you can't start being a victim because you can't explain.
I'm not a victim.
You got to strengthen your argument. You got to strengthen your argument. So
see, there you go again.
Here's the key. Don't start doing that. You don't know my story thing.
But you don't. You're making assumptions.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
You're making.
I don't say that. I just tell the facts.
Anton, you didn't tell the facts. You made general statements. You said your impression. Oh, you don't take accountability. What are you talking about? I'm not talking about my story. I take accountability. I know things that I could do differently. But this
offer is available to you. I'm gonna let you go ahead and
this show is not.
It's just for you.
A lot of men
I'm
are
extending an invitation just for you, baby.
Y'all stubborn, and this proves my point. Like y'all, they literally think all they have to do is show up.
That's it.
With money, and if you're a single woman, then
what? You don't know my story. You think I just showed up? Like how does that sound?
Have you ever
Hey, Ashley, I'm not talking about you directly. I'm not trying to make this personal, but the thing is, there are people that always use social media to be the victim all the time. You have to have some type of self-worth of how you're looking at not you specifically, but what role do you play in this? It's always a sob story about how somebody was wrong. And you know what? This all plays out on social media. You're always going to get it, but you're getting the raw, unfiltered.
But I never did. I do that. But that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not the one on social media talking about all men are this or all men are that. I'm not the one who do that.
I seen you. I seen you in the group.
All right, guys, we got
there's an audience, and what this gender war is happening right in front.
We got a call. We got somebody that want. Hey, we got somebody that want to chime in. We got somebody that want to chime in.
I seen you in the group, Ash. I know what you said.
They were personal experiences. It's the truth.
All right, we got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
No accountability, folks. Got to be accountable.
Go ahead, caller. What's your name?
Check 1 2 1 2. Mic check. It's Harvey. I called before about my trucking versus a house situation.
What's up, fam?
Remember?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. I remember you.
What's up? Okay, so I want to chime in on this because this is an age-old dispute, and it comes from the two sides not accepting their position and their roles. Special shout out to Nix. He was on fire tonight. I wanted to call in earlier to say that. Anton, big up to you for acknowledging that, because a lot of men don't even have the cojones to even acknowledge when somebody they're sometimes at odds with is actually right. So, to my dear sisters, and to the brothers, both sides are in denial about the position they're supposed to be playing, especially when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to our people. Men are in denial of the burden that we have to bear, that we're not just responsible for ourselves, we have to provide for women and children. If you follow the biblical narrative, it's in there. It transcends religion. Every religion on the planet acknowledges that. To the flip side, women are in denial of their position a lot of times too. This is why there's disrespect issues on both sides. The burden that women have to bear is not that they have to take care of a grown man, but they also have to take care of the man's needs. The scrutiny of women goes way back thousands of years. The scrutiny of men and how they conduct themselves with women goes back thousands of years. The argument that we're having today is thousands of years old. We need to put solutions in place, right? We need to look at the spiritual perspective, the emotional, the mental, and the physical demand that we're putting on each other and find a common ground as to what's realistic. If you rely on a higher power, check your books and follow your protocols. That's going to help, especially when it comes to our people. On both sides, our people are suffering. We are falling behind. It's ridiculous. Our oppressor and their children and their children's children's children are busy running circles around us because of this dispute right here. The sooner we resolve this, the better and more productive our generations will be. Now, how do y'all feel about that? Can we find some common ground about the positions, the respect, the productivity of your family unit? It starts with the family unit nucleus. That's where we're going to have to start to restore our people and get us to another level.
What?
We're so far behind, we're still under the thumb of you-know-who. Those people. And we've been here for 400 plus years. We have to get this resolved quickly, or there won't be a successful black generation in the next 1,000 years. So this is urgent.
All right. All right, we appreciate that call. We got another call coming in.
Oh.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your name?
My name is Carl.
All right, you got a statement, question, comment? What you got for us?
Yeah, I think I'm not trying. I love the show. I don't try to disrespect. I have a question for probably ask advice for Antoine. So I've been making like I just want to know what Antoine thinking about Bitcoin.
About who?
I have two condo Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have two condo in Toronto. And
you're gonna have to make this.
I was thinking about.
You got to make this real quick because this is not part of the show. If you want to reach out to
Hey, bro,
Anton,
just tap in with DM me on Instagram, bro. I respond
Yeah. Okay.
to all comments, bro. Just DM me.
All right, we appreciate you. Go ahead, caller.
Yes.
Yes, you're gonna turn down your background. It's coming in.
I got it. I'm doing it right now.
All right. What's your name?
My name is Courtney.
All right, where you calling from?
I am calling from Nashville, Tennessee.
That's what's up.
Hi, Courtney.
Well, yeah, I have a comment because I don't think a lot of women has been calling in that is, a fan of Anton. B. Nix has been awesome this evening, but just to give a different perspective, with the gender war outside of social media right now, what we're talking about, it absolutely is. It absolutely is because for some reason, Black women are not willing to acknowledge what Black men want. And at this point, Black men are right now saying, hey, we want to marry you. We want to love you. We're not marrying you because of this, that, or the third. That's it. But Black women are not listening to that. They're not saying, okay, my Black man, I will submit to that and give you what you want because I don't want to die alone. What we're not doing is that. What we're doing is saying, no, I don't want to hear it. What you're going to do is you're going to meet me at where I am, even though it's not my best, but you're going to meet me here and you're going to love it and you're going to take it. And at this point, Black men are saying, no, I'm not. Hence, that's why we're not getting married. Black women, 1 out of 4, are not getting married. Guess why? Because they don't want that. Black men are tired, and I get it. It's always been a narrative since the 80s of Black men being harsh and brash and abusive. But that was media. At the end of the day, that's not what they are. They are amazing, they are strong, and they're wanting to love us, but we are not giving them what they want to love. And, with Anton, I am a super fan. B. Nix is doing his thing. And what they are telling us is, hey, we want to marry you, but this is just what we want. Get fit, be feminine, be cooperative, be friendly to us. The 3 simplest things that they want, but Black women are just seem so hard to give them. And for me, I don't understand that. And to my girl Ashley, I hear you. I hear you because, you've been through relationships that didn't work. You're not married. I'm not.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't, though. That's not true.
You have to take accountability.
Sweetie, I haven't had a series of relationships.
Ash, you gotta let her talk.
You don't know my
let her
story.
Get her point out.
I haven't had relationships. So how?
All right, Ashley, Ashley, give her a chance, and then we're gonna give you a chance to respond to them.
Okay, all right.
Respond later. Yeah.
All right, go ahead. You still there, caller?
I'm here. I was listening or trying to.
No, go. No, it's
okay.
It's up on
well,
you. Go ahead.
And you might be in an amazing relationship, and that's fine. But here's the thing: when is it going to be when we take accountability where we might be the issue? Where is it going to be where we are the person where we're not married? No one wants to die alone. Who would want that? No one. It's okay to want marriage. Even if we are old at 38, 39, 40, it is okay to be married. I think it's a beautiful thing to be with someone that you can live forever with and share dreams and hopes and inspiration, all that. Cool. But if we don't have that, we're in our 30s, maybe it's us. Maybe We need to take accountability. Maybe we need to look and do a self-retrospective of ourselves. Maybe I need to lose a little weight. Maybe I need to take this awful weave out my hair and be natural. Your hair is beautiful, Ashley. I'm not saying you, but just in general. You know, maybe it's us. When is it going to be a black woman? When is it going to be a blog of a black woman saying, hey, black man, I'm sorry. I effed it up. I did these butt implants, breast implants, weave injections, been angry for so long. When is it going to be us? And that's what I'm saying. We need to take accountability. And what I'm not seeing with you guys, unfortunately, is accountability. Be accountable. These black men are wanting us. High value man, low value man. They want a black woman, but we're not showing up and showing out.
Are you saying me?
When are we going to?
Oh, okay.
And I think all this podcast is awesome. Y'all know I listen to my Kevin Samuels, but you know it's awesome because it's really opening the eye of some black women, and it opened the eyes of me, and it's making me prepare to be a wife. Prepare yourself to be a wife.
You so awesome. You so phenomenal.
And that means taking accountability.
I'm a fan of you too, baby.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. I appreciate that, and even the people that's in the comments right now, they salute you. Nashville's in the house.
Salute. Absolutely.
They say talk your shit. Call it talk your shit. All right, go ahead, Ashley. You want to respond?
I talk big shit. I'm from Nashville.
Right. Go ahead, Ashley. You want to respond to her?
So I want to try to keep it short because I have a lot to say. I respect everything the caller said as well. I absolutely believe that Black women need to take more accountability. And I hate that Anton is trying to act like I don't take accountability, because everybody in my life who knows me and knows my story knows that I'm responsible, and that if I do make a mistake, I own up to it. I don't think there's a man that I've ever dated that would say that I don't take accountability. I believe that as a whole, Black women have a whole lot to change. I get it. I used to talk to Black women about, carrying themselves better. I used to talk to them about respecting themselves. I completely agree that Black men have every right to be frustrated with Black women. And I say that too, Anton. I have said, I actually left the group having a conversation with another woman in the group about how it's not okay to have multiple baby daddies. Go and read all the comments, Anton, because I check women and I check men. Okay, what I see, I can only speak from my perspective. And Anton, you're just being so arrogant. Like,
I didn't even say nothing.
You're looking
around. I thought you was responding to the caller.
I'm talking to everybody. This is a.
I thought you were supposed to respond to the caller.
She's going off.
It's arrogant.
Can I say this to you, Ashley?
No. Can I please? I listened to you. Let me finish. Let me finish. So what I'm saying is that women need to take accountability. I talk about women too. I don't just talk about men. But what I hear from men all the time is you all doing exactly what you said we do. It's always the man. And I see women complaining about, and I said that when I first answered your question, JR. I said women are always saying men are cheaters, men are this. They need to take accountability for the men that they have been dealing with. I talk about this all the time. They need to take accountability for what they do with their bodies, their choices. They need to stop the attitudes. They need to do all these things. Anton, I will give you screenshots to show you all the times that I've talked about this. But I will also call out men. And I feel what the caller is saying. She said herself she has to learn something. Maybe you were the one with the bad attitude. There's not a man that has dated me that would say that I had a bad attitude. There's not a one.
Let me be the judge of that. I'm going to
you're making assumptions.
I'm going to coach you and mentor you, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go through your life.
Can I finish? I'm talking about my life, the men that I have dated. You don't know me. You don't know me. And I'm not playing the victim. This is what I'm talking about. Because of your experiences with women, you want to put them on me. And that's garbage. That's garbage. I see every day a lot of Black men. Y'all talk about accountability, but are you accountable? Are you accountable? And so I agree that if you get to a stage, you have to check yourself. Like, Don't say that I have. You don't. I know that I need to do things differently. For instance, I need to, like, I didn't get out much. I didn't date much. I wasn't always open. You know, I didn't give people a try. There are things that I should have done differently. I completely agree with that. But don't sit here and assume because maybe you've been in a whole string of relationships. I didn't have my first relationship till after 30. So don't tell me that, oh, I have all these. You don't know anything about me. I have never been the type of woman to have multiple relationships. If you've been having multiple relationships and they failed, then you should look at yourself. Like you should, but don't assume that about me. Don't assume that you've been this type of woman and you've had a string of failed relationships, that's me. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's not everybody's story. It's not everybody's story.
Well, Carla, what you about to say, Carla?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I hear her. What I'm saying is that, first of all, ain't no man just trying to sit there to hear your story. Because what happens is that
I'm not talking about any
your story, and I got a story to tell. Don't no man want to necessarily hear that.
I'm not talking about any man.
They don't want to hear your baggage.
I don't
they want to hear.
But I don't have baggage. That's the
real
point.
Woman of who you are, your feminine self, your sweet self. Everybody has a story, but don't nobody want that to come across.
You're absolutely right. I'm talking about in time.
Right now, I feel like you might be getting defensive, but it's no reason to. Like, we're all here trying to learn. We're all here trying to get better. We're all here hoping for one purpose, and that's for Black people to marry Black folks and be happy. That's it. But if we're not marrying each other, there's an issue. What is the issue? And the issue is, it ain't just on Black men. The issue is it's Black women doing some stuff, but you don't ever see that. You don't see no blogs. You don't see it anywhere else. And then when I'm talking to you and I'm telling you I can relate, and you're not necessarily coming to me like, oh, sister, okay, cool, we can relate. It's more defensive, and you don't know my story. It's the same old school 80s Black Negro spiritual, and we got to be above that.
You make
better.
Can I ask assumptions that are not true about me? You said, oh, you've had relationships. That's not true.
That's what therapy is about. Let's heal.
Courtney, can I ask
that story?
You're projecting your experiences on me. I haven't even had a boyfriend. So what relationships are you talking about?
Okay, well, then
what relationships are you talking about?
Actually, and what happened?
Courtney, Courtney, can I ask
but
you?
You're being
you are. I said that you don't know my story.
I'm trying, y'all.
I said you don't know my story. I said you don't know my story.
That Black women we gotta face. It's okay. If we're going to acknowledge, let's acknowledge what I'm saying and be like, okay, because it's truth. Let's not be scared of truth. Let's not be scared.
But whose truth is it?
Black women
is it
has
your
never,
truth?
ever in life been like, I did something wrong. They don't.
Well,
hold on, Carl. Let Tawana talk. Go ahead, Tawana.
You know what, Courtney? A lot of what you said, obviously, you can't dispute it, right? It's facts. And there is no reason why women shouldn't take accountability for our part and why Black families have not been able to join back together. But the problem that I have with what you're saying is that you're only speaking from one side, as if Black women change all of these things about us, that will somehow magically change the way.
Because Black men are perfect, right?
Like, I don't think that you're entirely wrong. I just think that we can't speak to a gender war without also addressing both sides and the issues that we have with men and women. And I think that's why I had a problem with what B. Nick said as well, because he was specifically talking about, well, it's exposing women and how women are. No, gender war actually exposes both genders. And that's the problem with it, is that we're both in a battle. We're always on that gender war. And it's only, to be honest, it was not until I was on social media that I started to see this gender war to this extreme. Yes, I knew that there were fundamental differences between men and women. Yes, I knew that women have we have certain ways about us that men don't understand. Men have ways about them that they don't understand. Did I think it was really this aggression and tension that is causing all of this like separation amongst us? No, I didn't think that. Once I started being on social media, I'm like, oh my God, people really, really have fundamental issues that need to be addressed, and that stem from childhood, that stem from all these other places that we're not talking about. We're really just trying to be aware now as we are, right? We're trying to, okay, we're old, we're self-aware, we're getting older, we're educated. Most of us, we can follow patterns. We know what's going on. We know what contributed to the way we are. But you cannot address gender war by only talking about the things that women need to do differently. That you just can't do that.
But why can't she? She's a woman.
And
she's
also,
listen,
if people are voicing everything that's going on,
Courtney,
instead of going back and forth, why does anyone not embrace the comments and realize that, you know what, I could pick up some notes. I could figure out on
but
how.
That's where you're wrong, B Nick, because I've seen and actually to Ashley's point, I have seen her many times say, you're absolutely right, and that makes sense. And we have agreed, and there has been many times where women and men have both agreed on a subject.
You don't even want to let B Nick finish.
And both have talked about this. So we're saying you
all the time.
And
every time B Nick speak, y'all.
I am a woman who has been in a successful relationship for over 3 years. So you cannot tell me that it's not possible for you to partner with someone and get on the same page and get on and have a happy life that leads to marriage, that leads to a long-term commitment.
See, that's the problem. I hear what you're saying, Ashley, but overall, and I said earlier, not specifically to you, but this shows an example. Folks don't listen. The warriors in the war is happening. Men are giving their opinions about the foul things that are happening. And instead of actually taking the comments, learning the lesson, and seeing how we could self-improve, you want to go to war. And here we are. The war is still happening every day. Instead of folks embracing the comments, like the caller mentioned on how we could self-improve.
Well, let me tell you about the comments. Sometimes comments are helpful, and they're actually criticism that you can learn from and you can grow from. Yeah. Sometimes people are being malicious and they're targeting and they're trying to make you feel bad about yourself. And see, that's where I have a problem with, because there is nobody in this world that's going to make me feel like I'm less than, right? So you have to be sure about who you are, and you have to be validated in that. And I think, Ashley, you're very listen, you had a tough night tonight, and I think that you fought as hard as you can. However, I'm just going to, just to be honest, there is some things that you need to take accountability for. And I am not, and I'm not, there aren't. Yes, and we all do, right? And I'm not saying.
Hold on. Who's trying to talk? That you asked you or the caller?
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Well, this is.
Go ahead, Courtney. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
And with Tawana, I'm not just taking up for men. The thing is men have never been taken up for. Black women has always been the center of victimization. Every single Tyler Perry movie, every single Negro play has been the Black woman is struggling. The Black woman is abused. The Black woman is a single parent. That has always been the narrative for years until today. Until today, the Black man has a voice, because at the end of the day, it ain't never necessarily happened that way. Black men ain't just abusing Black women. As a matter of fact, if you look at the CDC, they will tell you that the Black man is more active in his family and his child's life more than any other race. What that tells me is that these Black men are good, but there's never been a narrative that shows or placates the Black men as decent. So therefore, it is this time, and today is the time to show that Black men are good. We respect our Black men, and right now we need to listen to them. What are they saying? What do they want? Why can't we, as Black women that want a Black man, give them what they want? They don't want much. They're very simplistic,
Okay, so can they give us what? Can we meet each other halfway? Can they give us what we want?
Friendly.
So
they're
we
not
can
asking for you to bring all this money, have all these degrees.
So
I guess that's all I'm saying.
So you feel that we should give them what they want, but they shouldn't.
Again, like I'm saying, I'm not saying that
I'm done with this conversation. I don't
All right. So we're gonna.
I don't know, y'all. I don't know.
And Courtney,
I agree with her that we do need to work together.
Yeah, we're gonna take a couple more calls real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and conclude this thing. Courtney, we appreciate you.
All right. Well, I appreciate
calling
y'all.
us.
Be Nick, you doing your thing. All right, Anton.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
I got my flashcards just in case we need them, y'all.
Anton, I think you need therapy. You do.
You think I need therapy?
Yeah, you do.
I'm such a wimp. So you saying all winners need more therapy?
I'm a cool.
What makes you a winner? Is R. Kelly a winner? Is Donald Trump a winner?
All right, caller, go ahead.
How
what's
do
your
you
name?
compare me to R. Kelly and Donald Trump?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's your name again?
EQ.
EQ. All right, go ahead. What's your question or your statement?
Good show, guys. Everybody have good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Ladies, the thing that I have a grievance with the discussions that I know is not just tonight but other shows. When the guys come at you with a direct retort to something you say and you don't agree with it, you'll go on a straw man argument.
You're gonna what?
We have the right.
No. You gotta let him finish. He said it's a straw man argument. You gotta
a straw man argument.
I'm sorry. Argument. I'm sorry. Which lady is that? I'm sorry.
That's Tawana. I just didn't hear I didn't hear what you said. A straw man argument, or I didn't hear what you said. That's all.
I said you create a straw man argument. Like they'll turn around and say they'll talk about women in general terms, but you'll treat it as if they're talking about all women. That's a straw man argument.
Right.
But nobody ever says all women. But I did hear Ashley speak about men, all men. Now, she may have meant general, whatever the case may be, but you just can't have it both ways.
I didn't say all.
When a specific retort is being made to something that you said, you then go on to a straw man argument that can neither be confirmed nor refuted.
I didn't say all.
That shows desperation, because basically what it's really saying is the retort is right and you can't rebut that.
No.
So I'm going to turn around and go with a straw man argument to turn around and diffuse the
conversation. I think we acknowledge that there's exceptions, just like you guys make generalizations. I think everybody makes generalizations.
Sidebar to something that Anton spoke about. When you constantly cut a man off, you're showing lack of respect.
I am.
I don't have to be your man, but if we're having a conversation, in order for you to turn around and respond to something I said, you have to first show me the respect to listen to what I'm saying.
And vice versa. Anton has
didn't even do that to the girl who just spoke. You kept cutting her off because you didn't like what she was saying.
But what she said wasn't true. It's very hard. Like, I don't like to do this. I'm doing this because this is like the tone of the show. Like, everybody's talking over each other. Like, everybody, I don't do this in my.
If anybody cannot understand that this is just a show and we are communicating based on
this is not a show. This is not just a show. We change lives.
Hey, JR, let the caller speak. Let the caller speak.
Do not impose your gender.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Caller speak. He called in. Give him a
I'm just trying to hear Ashley
listen, ain't nobody disrespecting the caller, but when he makes a statement, we can respond to it. Be next. Thank you. All we saying is that
Tawana, don't start. All we need to do is let
don't start with me.
All right, go ahead. Hey, we're gonna let the caller.
I don't get what you're saying.
Listen,
hey, we're gonna let the caller talk. We're gonna let the caller talk. Let the caller talk. Go ahead.
I didn't hear a word that either one of them said. I'm looking at the screen and I got it muted, but I just see a lot of emotional responses, and it's like,
Can I respond, please?
Help me help you.
May I please respond?
Go ahead.
I would. Okay.
I want to respond. I just didn't hear what they said. Okay,
one at a time. Go ahead, Ashley. You first. Go ahead.
I wanted to respond to the gentleman. So I got frustrated because one, I don't feel like I was understood. Okay. And two, I don't like when people make assumptions about me. I don't have to play the victim. I have a wonderful life. I love the Lord. The Lord loves me. I have a lot of resources in my life too, Anton. I probably don't have as many as you, but I'm well on my way. I'm nobody's victim. I'm nobody's victim. But what I don't like is when people make assumptions about me. You say yourself, Anton, you're not taking accountability.
Ashley, I'm sorry, I got to interject. I don't understand. How is it that you're talking to the caller and then you keep taking it back to Anton? It's like,
okay, I'm sorry, you're right. So
it's like you got a personal animosity with him.
No, I was gonna get there.
You hit the nail on the head, caller.
Because let me get there because I feel that you are trying to say.
No, I can't. I can't, Ashley. That too is a lack of respect. I'm the caller. You're not having a conversation with Anton. You're having a conversation with me. So it's like you're basically saying, "The hell with me," because you got a grievance and a bone to pick with Anton. So you're going to turn around and take it out. I just don't understand how it is that you choose to be single and you're having commentary about relationship. That seems oxymoron.
So can I respond to what you just said? You're right. I went off on
anybody who don't want to be in a relationship. I fail to see why they have any comments about relationship.
I didn't want to be in a
full stop. You want to die alone? Hey, God be the glory.
Wow. What's your name again? I forgot your name. This is Tamara.
Can I just address what you're saying? You were right. I went off on a little tangent. I was trying to bring it back, but obviously I'm talking too long for you or something. But what I was going to say is that I have no problem with somebody telling me the truth. It's not about me not liking what the lady said. What she said was not true about me. Perhaps it's true about
but
her.
At least let her get her piece out and then turn around and respond. But the moment she said something that you claim is not true, you got in your feelings and you started cutting her off. That's a lack of respect.
Okay, I shouldn't have cut her off, but let me tell you this. You cut me off 3 times. You didn't like what I'm saying.
To show you that how bad it is.
Oh, no. That's because
you don't like it. So why do it to others?
I just told you because that's kind of like the tone of the show. I don't do this in normal life. I'm trying to be heard. And you keep interrupting me.
Ashley, there's no way you're going to convince me that you don't do this in normal life. My mother taught me if you eat like a savage at home, you eat like a savage in public. You're not going to be selective.
Just how you are. Just how you are right now.
All right,
well, everybody.
I think we got some phenomenal calls.
Let it go.
These people are
everybody
got on point. They don't.
Just how you are right now.
All right, EQ. We appreciate you calling. We got to try to get some
everybody
more callers in.
Ashley,
appreciate you guys. I have a good one.
All right, you too.
You take the ones that are good and you roll with it, and you take the ones that are bad and you learn from them. I guess that's how we do here on. But.
And I still didn't get a chance.
Let's just be clear. Let's just be clear that this is a platform where we're all passionate and we're all talking about issues that's relevant to us. And so therefore, Ashley is not being any more rude than anyone else on this show. She's speaking and saying her position. I feel triggered. That she's constantly. You should feel triggered. You triggering yourself, no cap.
I feel triggered.
And I still didn't get to address what he said, but
I really would like
to the rude person.
DK, was it DK? I would like to have addressed.
Hey, Ashley, go ahead.
I was trying to say to him, it's not fair, it's not fair to sit here and say because you've dealt with a certain type of woman that women need to take accountability for. Everybody needs to take accountability, of course. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I would never say I'm perfect. But don't come and tell me because you've dealt with XYZ that I'm supposed to be accountable for that. At what point do you take accountability? I see it so much. Like I see so many men talking about women are this and women are that. And it's like, at what point do you take accountability for it? And it's like, so you can't get on a call and tell me, oh, well, in all of your failed relationships, when I haven't had failed relationships. And that's why I decided to say something to her because it's just not true. That's not my story. And that's why I'm not trying to play the victim and saying it's not my story. I'm trying to tell you the truth. You can't tell me my truth. You can't tell me because this is what I've experienced that this must be what you experience.
It's just being redundant though. You're saying the same thing over. You're not. You're not adding any new context to your story.
Well,
You're just going based off of what you said. This don't have nothing to do with your story. Like, it has everything to do with what you've said during this show and the last show. And we know we smart enough to put two and two together and be able to make the assessment of what you're saying. And then we draw our conclusions based off of that. We go based off of what you say.
But you can't tell me I've had. You can't tell me I've had relationships.
Do you want to be in a relationship? I think this is what people are saying. Do you want to be in a relationship? Like, is that your goal? Do you want to get right?
I do.
So what they're saying is,
you need to check in with Tom Dog.
Wait, guys. Let me just say this.
Get this coaching.
If you've been in previous relationships that didn't move forward for whatever reason.
But I haven't.
You haven't been in any previous relationships.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. I haven't had.
I guess it's confusing because people heard you say, "Well, I've been 5 men."
Can I explain? Can I explain?
Yeah.
So I don't believe in like relationships. Like, you know, I don't get into relationships unless I feel like there's a future. Now you can be wrong about that, but I've been very particular about who I've decided to date and who I decided to date more than once or twice. And when I say that there are guys that have been interested in marrying me, I mean that they respect me as a person. I don't have a problem with men respecting me for who I am and seeing a future with me. And they make that known with their actions. But I have to want that too. And I've had reservations. Now, obviously, it takes time to get there. But I would say that there are definitely guys who wanted to move in that direction with me.
What? So that's but if you're wherever you're at in life, right? If that's what you've been doing and it hasn't been working, wondering why is it that you continue to do the same thing, right? Like, so
you know why? I'll tell you why. Hold on. You know why? You know why, Tawana?
That's the confusing part, and it's not.
It's not confusing at all. It's the definition. It's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's the very definition of insanity.
Guys, we got a caller. We got a caller. We got a caller. All right, go ahead, caller. Is Jody?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead. What's your statement or your question?
So my statement is really towards Ashley. And my statement is this. I've watched the whole show. And as a man who's married, I listened to Ashley say the first segment when you talked about the high value man and you said, well, you got these guys who are high value who only want to date women who look good and they're going to use you for your money. But then on the flip side, when Anton brought up, yo, could you date a man who make 30,000? Your first response was, hell no. Well, hold on. If you want the high value man to quote unquote date down, then what's wrong with you dating a man that make 30,000? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that the high value man needs to respect the woman and say, I value her personality, I value her what she brings to the table. But then when we say, okay, here's the $30,000 man, but he's going to give you all of the things that you need in a relationship, love. He's going to give you respect. You don't want to hear that though. Your first instinct is hell to the no. I ain't dating no man that make 30,000. I'm better than that. I deserve more than that. That's a double standard. You can't have a double standard. Okay. And that's my point. Like, women, when men say we're visual and we want to date women who fit this criteria, and you say, well, I bring this and I bring that. Well, hold on. When I say I bring this and I bring that, but I only make 30,000, your first response is, can't do it. I can't do it. I feel like I'm on a level where I can't date no man that make only 30,000. That's a double standard. So
that's a great point, fam.
Hey, that's the point we've been making all night.
All night. Black men
I mean, everybody commented, Ashley, not just me.
Salary.
Inside.
I mean, can I
this,
respond?
I hate to use this, the quote unquote date down thing.
Yeah, we're gonna let you respond, and this is the last caller too. So go ahead and respond to him.
So my concern is that we can just have a decent life. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Money is very relevant. It's not the only important thing, but it's relevant. It is a part of the equation. And I don't quantify things. I don't have some magic number in my head where it's like, oh, if he doesn't make this amount, I'm done. 30,000 is, I don't see how anybody could live in Chicago on $30,000. Now, obviously, I would be working too. We can work it out. I'm not saying never. I won't say never, but I just don't see myself doing that. But that doesn't mean that he has to make 100,000. I didn't say that. I don't see anything wrong with saying you just want to be secure. Like there are certain jobs you wouldn't take because you know that you can't afford to live if you take that job. So if I'm setting myself up to have a good life with the husband and he wants he wants what I want, we do have to think about that. We have to think about, can we live? And a man has every right to do it with me too. If I'm not bringing enough to the table, then that's his prerogative. It's like you are misunderstanding what I'm saying. I am all for men having like their standards. You're supposed to have your standards. And I never said otherwise. I just think that, money is not the only important thing, but it is necessary. Like, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
But I'm not saying that money is the only thing. What I'm saying to you is this. If when we talked about the high value man and you brought all of the aspects that you as a woman bring to the table, let's flip it. So me as a man who makes 30,000, but I bring all of the loving qualities, I'm going to treat you great. I'm going to be that person that you want to nourish and take care of you. I just don't make the money that you expect right now. But you're cutting me off at the knees because you're saying before I can even get started to impress you, you make 30,000, can't do it.
So I think we're talking in very drastic terms. Like I've dated guys who got laid off. Like it's all about your mindset, your history, your pattern. A lot of people lost their jobs this year or last year. I dated this one high value guy and he had 4 kids. And that's why I'm not saying anything bad about him, but that's one example. Like it didn't work for me. I didn't want that. I didn't say anything bad about him. Okay. It just didn't work for me. He lost his job. Did I say, oh, I want to cut you off? No. There are guys who I've dated who work for Uber, who drive Lyft. I have no problem with that. Like none whatsoever. I am all about helping you, supporting you, get to where you want to go. But if you are stagnant, that's not going to work. This just not going to work. So, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But this is my thing. Me as a black man who makes 6 figures and who's married at the age of 43. My thing is this. If black men and black women are going to cultivate relationships, if you're telling me that it's okay for me as the man who makes a certain amount of money, that it's okay for me to date a woman who makes less, why isn't it okay for a woman who makes more money to date a black man who makes less than her? Just because I make less than you doesn't make me less than. I bring the same way you said, I bring things to the table. Why don't those things matter as a black man, but you're making it about my salary?
Love you, good night. I mean, I don't think that men have every right to choose who they want. Tawan, I'm sorry. I know you want to talk. It's just
it's not that I want to talk. It's just that I don't know if they listen to you completely, because I do think that me and you both agreed that we would date men who made less than us. I think that the men were on the side of we should not date a man that makes less than us, and we would not want to date a man that was average. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous because we are open to that, and that salary. He's saying 30,000, but Ashley even said 50 was okay, and like 60 in middle class. And she even commented multiple times about that. So I'm trying to determine where in the conversation you heard her say that she would never give a man a chance that made less than her, because I just did not recall her saying that ever. And honestly, I think you're misdirecting your like comments, because that was something that Anton and B Nick spoke to specifically, and we did not. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just making sure.
Even I know that was from another topic. We still talk about the fact you all did have a criteria.
I specifically heard B Nick say working class, and when B Nick said working class wasn't an option for Ashley.
I'm
not really talking about Tawana. I'm talking about Ashley. Working class wasn't an option for Ashley. Ashley said, I don't know men who are making 25 to 30,000 who I would deal with. Tawana said, I have dealt with men who have made that type of money before. Ashley said, I'm at a certain level right now in my life, and I'm not just going to deal with those type of men. So how do you punish men
it depends on the situation
and above and say, this is what I expect from a woman? And when the expectations are beauty and other such things, all of a sudden he's a horrible person. They just don't align.
I don't know how many times I have to say it. I am all for women being more realistic. I don't think I can go out there and get some multi-million-dollar man that looks super fine. Mm-hmm. Like, there are so many options. Like, and I have said this before, you all don't listen. I said there are men who have overlooked me as well. And I know the character of a woman that I am.
I think they stuck on the 30,000, Ashley. Yeah. And I think
hold on. No. We're gonna clear all of this up.
One at a time.
Real clear. Hey, Ash, do you deserve a guy that make more than $100,000 a year? Do you feel like you deserve a guy that make more than $100,000?
Possibly, yeah.
What?
No. That's a yes or no.
I think so. I think so.
You feel like you deserve a guy that make.
I say deserve is different from him liking me. He might not like me, but deserve is something different. I think
okay, so let me rephrase the question. Do you think that a guy that makes more above six figures, do you think that that's a guy? Because you clearly explained, I'm realistic. Wait, let me finish.
No.
You clearly said that, I'm realistic, not a million and all of this other type of stuff, right? So it's six figures. What's the number? What's the number of a guy that you like, you know what? This is probably the guy I should be with, or this is what I align myself with. What's the number? Give me a number.
I don't have a number.
No.
I don't have.
You have a number.
It has to be a number. That's what we talked about earlier about a number.
Hold on,
women don't do that though.
You got a number that you won't deal with, but you don't have a number that you will deal with.
Can I finish? Can I please talk and finish my point? It depends on the situation. If I meet a guy today who has a lot of the qualities that I look for in a man, and he is making $30,000 a year, but he's on his way to doing something better, I'm open to it. If you are making $30,000 a year because you work at the gas station or you a clerk at Walmart, and this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, I got an issue with that. I don't want.
What's the number? What's the minimum number?
For how long are you willing to do that,
What's
Ashley?
the minimum number?
It sounds good right now, but for how long are you willing to be like, hey, okay, just pursue your passion?
What's the minimum number?
Nick's pressed her on it.
I don't know the minimum number. I don't have one. But let me answer your question. Can I please answer your question?
You asked me. Switch this episode. B Nick ain't never been like this.
You asked me.
Do I deserve? Is that the comment? Is that Is that somebody on the phone or is
Yeah.
that? Oh, okay. I was like, what is that?
B Nix
Okay.
is the
Yeah,
shit.
that's the caller over there bragging about Knicks.
B Nix is shooting from half court all day.
I would date a guy 50,000. I'll tell you what's ideal. I can tell you what's ideal. I don't have a breaking number. Ideal would be at least like 70K. Okay. Ideal. And you don't. I don't think a man, let me tell you something. I have met a couple guys this past year who all grossed probably well over 70K. Okay. Both of them had kids. In my book, that's like a notch off your ranking. So
what?
If you
I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
But no, it's relevant because Anton's trying to act like, oh, a 70K man